fresh produce supermarket was not far from the company. Xavier was in offline sales mode. Although the interior decoration was not particularly exquisite, it felt especially comfortable and clean when one walked in. Xavier pushed the cart while Kiera strolled leisurely. There were many good foods in the supermarket, and even yogurt was imported. She picked a box of yogurt and Japanese ice cream imported from Thailand. Xavier had someone scoop up a few blue crabs. After scooping them up, he smiled apologetically. "If you want to eat Dungeness crabs, you can let the people below make them, but I don't know how to do it myself. They're too big and too complicated." "It's okay. Just eat the blue crabs." Kiera picked up another steak. The counter was an open one. Kiera sat outside drinking red wine as she watched Xavier work inside. The man was wearing an apron and looked elegant. She couldn't help thinking of Brexter. In the past, he used to cook for her as well. But Brexter was more meticulous in his cooking, while Xavier was more elegant. Rather than saying that he was cooking, it was more appropriate to say that he was enjoying the process. "Junior, try this special grade steak." Xavier handed her a plate. Seeing that she was absent-minded, he asked, "Why? Are you in a bad mood and missing your boyfriend?" Kiera looked embarrassed. "If you want, you can bring him over," Xavier said with a smile. "Help me increase the popularity here." "Let's talk about it in the future." Kiera poured herself some red wine. "Did you have a fight or broke up?" Xavier sat opposite her. "Senior, why aren't you married yet?" Kiera suddenly asked. "Is it so difficult to meet a person who wholeheartedly and unconditionally trusts you?" Xavier swirled his wine glass thoughtfully. "It's difficult, right? There are too many temptations these days." "Yeah." Kiera smiled bitterly. "I don't know when I'll be able to get married either." "You want to get married?" Xavier asked. "Sometimes. I feel a little envious when I see others getting married." For some reason, Kiera felt that she didn't need to be too guarded in front of him. Xavier pushed the steak in front of her. "Kiera, actually, many people aren't that happy when they get married. You may see that Aaron and Richard's marriages are very good, but it's just an exception. So be careful. If you feel that you don't have a happy life together, there's no need to force yourself. We're both adults with successful careers. There's no need to put ourselves in a difficult position just to please anyone. A man with good taste and self-control wouldn't mind a woman's age. You're a very outstanding person. From the moment I met you, I knew that you were a book that got better and better. A good book will never lack fans." Kiera lowered her head to look at Xavier's handsome face and was stunned. After a while, her sad heart seemed to have healed a lot. Xavier continued, "Of course, every man has his flaws. I also have many flaws. No matter which man you choose, this is no exception. Of course, your flaws will be determined by whether you can endure them or not. Think about it carefully." He raised his glass. "Thank you." Kiera clinked her glass with his. Kiera had a pretty good dinner. Basically, she enjoyed it more than any other restaurant. After eating seafood and steak, there were also desserts and drinks. Kiera was very full. She drank a bottle of red wine and Xavier drove her home. "How did you feel tonight?" Xavier asked. "Great." 2 words. "Very great," Kiera said seriously. After all, it was such a big imported fresh supermarket. How could she not be happy with the high-end ingredients that were randomly chosen for cooking? Who wouldn't want to marry you in the future? Not necessarily. Being with someone, whether it's happiness or not, has nothing to do with their money or culinary skills. Xavier shook his head. Kiera thought about it and agreed. She had money now, and Brexter had culinary skills, but he was still unhappy. The car stopped below the condominium, and Xavier got out to help her open the door. "You don't have to be so polite." Kiera got out of the car and smiled, but her gaze froze when she looked behind him. Brexter waited downstairs from the morning until 10 p.m. He looked left and right, but did not see Kiera's car. He did not expect to see Kiera coming out from the passenger seat of a black Bentley at this time. The man who opened the door for him was dressed in a windbreaker. He had a refined and handsome face and was full of nobility. She raised her head and smiled at the man with her eyes curved. For some reason, his heart felt as though it was blocked by a huge rock. He felt suffocated and an unknown panic gripped his heart. He recognized that this person was Xavier, whom he had seen on the news. He walked over quickly with his dark eyes. "Kiera, you're back. I've been waiting for you for a long time." Kiera furrowed her brows. She didn't expect Brexter to find this place. Who was the one who leaked it? "This is..." Xavier looked at Brexter. "I'm her boyfriend." Brexter reached out his hand. "Thank you for driving my girlfriend back." As he spoke, he glanced at Kiera. Seeing that she didn't deny it, he heaved a sigh of relief. "Oh, you're Kiera's boyfriend." Xavier's thin lips twitched as he shook his hand and smiled. "Nice to meet you. Hold on to Kiera well. I'm afraid that I'll snatch her away if you're not careful." Kiera was stunned, but when she saw Xavier's expression, she knew that he wasn't trying to sow discord between the two of them. With his personality, he was probably just trying to increase Brexter's sense of danger. On the other hand, Brexter's pupils constricted as he tightened his grip on Xavier's hand. He should have known that it was normal for such an outstanding woman like Kiera to be well liked, but Xavier's presence had indeed given him a lot of pressure. This was the first time they had met. He has qualities that are equal or comparable to him, and he was also very outstanding in all aspects. Fortunately, he has never been a man who lacked confidence in himself. The other party was now openly challenging him, and he was determined not to back down. "It's a pity that you will never have the chance." Brexter looked at him, his eyes seemingly calm, but the aura around him suddenly dropped by a few degrees. "We'll know once we try," Xavier said as he exerted force on his hand. Kiera looked at the two men's hands that had been holding on for a long time. Under the streetlights, she could vaguely see the veins on the back of their hands. She was speechless. It was just a handshake. Was there a need to use so much force? Wasn't he afraid that it would hurt? She coughed lightly and went forward to pull Brexter's other arm. "It's getting late. Time to go back. Thank you for today." She hadn't seen him for the past few days, and it had been a long time since the two of them had been so close to each other. The moment she got close to him, the smell wafted over, and Brexter's heart softened. He didn't even have the intention to shake hands with Xavier. He let go, and Xavier let go as well. "Kiera, I'm very happy to have cooked for you personally tonight." Xavier put one hand in his trouser pocket and waved his other hand, appearing dashing and handsome. "See you tomorrow. Good night." Kiera felt a cold gaze on her, her scalp tingling. She looked at the smiling Xavier and waved awkwardly. "Good night." Before she could finish, she was dragged out by Brexter. He dragged her out very quickly. Kiera was wearing high heels and she almost fell down several times due to his tugging. In addition to that, her hands were also being tugged by him. She was furious and raised her voice. "Brexter, you let go of me right now." Brexter seemed to have been jolted awake and turned around abruptly. He saw that her cheeks were slightly red and her feet were staggering in high heels. She looked a little disheveled. Kiera flung his hands away angrily. "Why are you dragging me like that? Can't you see that I'm wearing high heels? Aren't you afraid that I'll fall?" Brexter pursed his lips and a deep sense of annoyance flashed across his brows. He had been completely angered by Xavier's words and had lost his rationality. "Kiera, I was in a mess just now. Xavier said that he personally cooked dinner for you tonight." It would have been fine if they had just had dinner together. But what was the meaning of letting the man personally cook? Brexter remembered that he had waited for a long time before he could go to her place. What was going on between her and Xavier? Was she thinking of replacing him? Brexter's heart was in a mess, so much so that it felt like a wild beast had lost control in his chest. Kiera looked at him for a while, her thin lips curving into a half smile. "What? You're the only one who can accompany your ex-girlfriend for IV drip treatment, but you won't allow me to taste Senior's cooking?" Brexter was completely choked by her words. Kira pulled her hand back forcefully. Now that I think about it, I feel that I was too silly in the past. Ever since I started dating you, I've hardly interacted with any of the members of the opposite sex around me. Actually, we're just dating. If we're not suitable for each other, we can break up at any time. We don't have any legal responsibilities to each other at all. Brexter's eyes flashed with deep regret. He took a step forward and held her thin shoulders, his tone slightly bitter. Kiera, you're right. It's just a relationship. You can replace me at any time, but I don't want to be let go of. Kiera was angered by his confident words and laughed. I don't have any contract with you. Kiera, I admit that I made a mistake this time. It was extremely wrong. But from a certain point of view, my body and heart did not betray you. Are you going to kill our relationship with a single blow? Brexter said with a bitter smile. Have you forgotten that we used to have our happy times? Kira almost couldn't hold back her tears when she recalled the past when the two of them had been intimate. Brexter lowered his eyes and brushed away a strand of her hair by her ear. Last time at the hospital, I admitted that I was terrible. I didn't even realize what I did was wrong when you left. In fact, I felt a little wrong. At that time, I felt that my heart and body didn't betray you. Why were you so agitated? Kira laughed angrily. You're still feeling wrong? Hear me out. Brexter pressed his finger on her lips. I've been living in a daze for the past few days, but I have no idea where you are. Today I went to Splingo to look for Aaron. When I saw the couple and Richard, I finally understood what I did wrong. Kira was confused by his words. Did Aaron and Richard teach him a lesson? Brexter looked apologetically at Kiera. When I was in the hospital, I shouldn't have thought that what you said to Tasha was too much. Brexter suddenly said in a low voice, You are my girlfriend. I should have unconditionally chosen to trust you. Kira's heart ached when the matter was brought up again. At that time, when he had said that he felt she was too much, it had really hurt her badly and it had caused her to feel a chill in her heart. It was also at that time that she decided to reconsider their relationship. Such a rare occurrence, you actually realized this problem, Kira said sarcastically. Brexter's face was covered in dust. He only realized it after being reminded by April and Aaron. Also, I shouldn't have lied to you. You're right. Even if I run into her at the clinic, I'll just call an ambulance for her. Kira, I promise that I won't be like this in the future. In the future, no matter what happens, I'll always put your feelings first. In the past, I have many shortcomings, but in the future, the same problems won't happen. He apologized earnestly in front of her, and Kira suddenly felt a little lost. Kira. Brexter stepped forward and gently held her hand. Can we go back? Kira lowered her head to look at that hand, her heart feeling stifled. Brexter, not only do I mind that you don't trust me, I also mind how you felt when you stood on Tasha's side at that moment. The fact that you lied to me for her is a thorn in my heart. Your heart will soften for her. But what if she appears by your side again and again? Our lives will not be peaceful. I am a person with serious mesophobia. If there's a second time, you can kick me out without any hesitation, Brexter said with a wry smile. Kira shook her head, feeling very uncomfortable. Brexter, you clearly had a stomachache, yet you still had to accompany Tasha until 4 a.m. Tell me, how do you support yourself with such courage and kindness to accompany a woman? Brexter froze, his face slightly stiff. Did he have a stomachache at that time? It seemed like it. He had almost forgotten. Brexter, answer me honestly. I don't like to be lied to. Kira stared at him with a clear and calm gaze. Actually, I've already expected the answer. Brexter lowered his gaze helplessly. Because I'm soft-hearted. She's my ex-girlfriend. Even though there are no feelings left, I couldn't turn a blind eye. When I was with her, it was the most difficult time for me at work. But this isn't love. I know very well that if it was love, I would be anxious, sad, and afraid. But I didn't have it then. Perhaps, yes, there's still a part of us from the past. Kira smiled, but her smile was even sadder than her tears. Although she had already guessed it, it was indeed very uncomfortable to hear it from his own mouth. Brexter felt a wave of fear and panic from the bottom of his heart. He wanted to try his best to grab it, but it was as if something had passed through his fingertips and he could not grab it. He had once thought that happiness was just around the corner, but he had pushed it away with his own hands. Kira, are you really going to break up with me? Brexter's voice was slightly hoarse, his eyes filled with pain. Give me a chance. I know what my mistake is now. I won't do it again. Don't deny our past just because of this one-time incident. It's not easy to accept each other from the beginning to the end. Even if you're sentenced in court, the consequences also depend on the severity of the crime. Kira looked at him in pain. The more she cared, the more she felt suffocated when he said that he was soft-hearted towards another woman. The human heart can never be controlled. However, when it came to being completely cut off, it really wasn't that easy. Everyone wasn't young anymore. She wasn't sure when she would be able to pull herself together into starting a new relationship. Moreover, the two of them had been intimate before. When a woman gave her body to another person, it was equivalent to accepting that person from her body and heart. But unfortunately, it was given too early into the relationship. Kira was at a loss. She felt like she was holding an expensive towel that someone else had used before. It would be a pity to throw it away. But if she didn't, she would still feel dirty using it. Seeing that she was silent, Brexter was like a child for the first time. He was at a loss as he stepped forward and hugged her gently. He was nervous, uneasy, and cautious. Kira, I won't be like that anymore. I won't lie to you, all right? I swear on the law. Kira smiled bitterly. He was probably more important than his life in the eyes of the law. Using the law wasn't easy. That's it, Kira said calmly. We won't break up for the time being, but I don't want to live together for the time being. I don't want to be close to you like I used to be. Brexter smiled bitterly. Wouldn't that return to the time when they first met? Fortunately, she used the words, time being. He believed that as long as he changed his mind and was firm when facing Tasha, she would forgive him. He was afraid that she wouldn't even give him a chance. All right, he nodded. I'm really not doing well this time. It's only right for you to do this, but don't stay here, all right? Go back to your place. After all, the condominium's quite far. I'm worried. Besides, your place is quite spacious. You'll be more comfortable there. There's no need for you to not be able to go home. Kira looked at him with a complicated expression before reaching out. Then, give me back my keys. Brexter was stunned, but his eyes dimmed. Kira, I promised you that I wouldn't stay with you, so I won't. I've already lost my trust in you, Kira insisted. Trust was hard to establish, but it was easy to lose. Brexter didn't want her to be even more disappointed in him, so he could only give her back the keys to her house. On the other side, Kira also handed him back his house key. The small key weighed like 1,000 pounds. Brexter did not feel good. You don't have to give me mine. He was afraid that if he took it back, she would never want it. Kira, we are not breaking up. I know. We are just returning to the beginning. Kira placed the key in his hand. In the beginning, I took this key too early. Not early. It will always belong to you and only you. Brexter's gaze was unfathomable. Who knows? Kira shrugged in self-mockery. Some couples go their separate ways after getting married. Besides, we're just dating. Forget it. Let's not talk about it anymore. Everyone has been unhappy recently. I'll move back tomorrow. You can go back home now. Brexter looked at her with burning eyes. It had been so many days since they last saw each other. How could he bear to leave just like that? Even if he couldn't spend the night with her, it was enough for him to return home a little later. Kiera, I haven't eaten all day. Can you accompany me to have something? Are you trying to say that you've been waiting here for a long time? Kiera asked with a frown. No, I'm trying to say that I'm hungry. Brexter's eyelids drooped. He had been looking haggard recently and his handsome face had lost some weight. Now he looked pitiful. Kiera scoffed in her heart. It wasn't easy. He had already learned how to play the tough game, which made her a little soft-hearted. However, perhaps he hadn't lost weight because of her, but because of the flu. She knew about the flu. It was as painful as losing a layer of skin. What does your hunger have to do with me? I'm quite full, Kiera said sarcastically. Brexter choked. If it was the old her, she would definitely feel sorry for him. As expected, he shouldn't be so cheap. Kiera, accompany me to the side to eat. It won't take long, at most 20 minutes. I'm tired. You can eat by yourself. You have hands, money, and a mouth. I can't help you much. Kiera patted his shoulder. You have to know your limits. Do you know that when I treasure you, you are the priceless treasure in my heart? When I don't want you anymore, you are as good as grass. You are the one who turned the treasure into grass. If you want to make my heart ache, dream on. With that, the elevator arrived. She walked in and pressed the button to close the doors in front of him. Brexter's face was filled with annoyance. He looked at the floor where the elevator stopped and took out his phone to send Kiera a message. It doesn't matter if I'm grass. The grass is resilient and tenacious. I won't give up. He kept his phone and stood there for a while before he went to eat. Even though he was hungry, the food was tasteless in his mouth. Sometimes it was only interesting for two people to eat some things. He deserved it for losing such a good person. After returning home at night, he slept for a while and set the alarm. The next day, he woke up at 6 o'clock to make breakfast and drive it over. When he arrived at the condominium, it was almost 7:30. At this time, she was definitely still sleeping. He did not disturb her and only sent her a message before leaving the breakfast at the guard's place. Kiera woke up early today. It wasn't that she had something on, it was just that she was preoccupied. She saw Brexter's message immediately, but she wasn't in a rush to go downstairs. Instead, she waited for more than 10 minutes before going down to retrieve it. The guard smiled when he saw her. Your boyfriend is just in time. After being a guard here for so many years, this is the first time I've seen him personally make breakfast and send it here so early in the morning. Kiera took the breakfast from the guard and opened the paper bag to take a look. The thermos flask was filled with piping hot soup. There was also grilled ham and cheese toast, fruits, eggs, and a salad, all of which were her favorites. This breakfast was actually not what Brexter was good at in the past. It was because after the two of them got together, he knew that he had to pick up her preferences bit by bit, especially the toast, which was all made by him personally. It was in those little moments that her heart was slowly softened by him. She suddenly felt a little frustrated. Why was her heart always so soft? This time, she definitely couldn't let it go so easily. She had to crush Tasha into pieces. When she was about to go to work at 8:30, Brexter called. She didn't pick up, but he refused to give up. She had no choice, so she answered the call. Brexter didn't complain over the phone. He only asked, Have you eaten breakfast? No, I threw it in the trash can. Kiera suddenly regretted her words. Wasn't she calling her stomach a trash can? Kiera, those are all your favorite foods. There's no need to be so mean to your stomach, Brexter said. When are you moving back today? I hope you move your things. I don't have anything. I can handle it myself, Kiera mocked. I'm not a fragile woman like your ex-girlfriend. I'm a strong woman who can wake up immediately after fainting on the ground. Kiera was furious while Brexter was helpless. He had a headache and had no choice but to change the topic. What do you want to eat tonight? I'll make it for you. Why didn't you answer my question? Kiera continued to be sarcastic. Do you think what I said makes sense? Rexter felt a headache coming.
Kira, I think you were trying to pick a fight with me now.
You're right. I'm angry when I hear your voice. Kira was also very depressed. She was not a person who could easily lose control of her emotions, but now she was completely disrupted by this person.
You can be angry with me, but don't be angry with yourself.
Rexter rubbed his temples and finally said helplessly,
Kira, why don't we meet up with Tasha? I'll explain everything to you in front of her.
What are you talking about? You're making it sound like I really care about her existence. Even though that's the truth, Tasha might be very pleased when she finds out. Kira said exasperatedly, A woman like her doesn't even have the right to be my opponent, let alone have a face-to-face conversation with me. It's embarrassing to think that a woman like her would actually become my love rival. Please, even if you find me a love rival, can you find someone prettier, better at earning money, or better than me? You don't have any of those? Where can I put my face?
Yes, it's my fault. My taste is too bad, Rexter agreed. There's nothing I can do. She's too ordinary. But you're unique. She can be replaced, but you're irreplaceable. I really can't find a love rival that's on par with you. I'm too useless. I should die for making you lose face, Lawyer Kell.
Kira felt like she had punched a piece of cotton. It was both funny and annoying. All right, I'm too lazy to waste my life with you. My time's very precious. As for you, you're not as precious as a minute of my time. She hung up right after that. Rexter looked at the end of the call. He looked up and saw Sandro standing at the door with a strange expression. Sandro coughed lightly and really wanted to ask, Chief Judge, are you still the Chief Judge that I know? However, working in front of Rexter, it was too obvious that he was in a bad mood and was absent-minded. He was often repressed, like a wild beast that was about to go berserk at any moment. There was nothing else that could cause him to become like this other than Kiara.
Chief Judge, have you reconciled with Lawyer Kell? Sandro asked with a smile. Yes.
Rexter suddenly raised his head and said to him,
Sandro, you've been with me for 2 years. Sooner or later, you'll be able to take care of things on your own. Do your best and share more of the burden with the court. I'm planning to apply for annual leave recently.
Sandro was stunned.
I've been busy at the end of the year recently. I haven't used up my annual leave. If I don't, it'll be next year again.
Rexter lowered his gaze and told him about his relationship for the first time.
I want to spend some time with Kiara. We've been too busy recently. But is Lawyer Kell free?
Sandro wanted to cry, but he had no tears. If Rexter took his leave, then wouldn't the pressure on his work be even greater? He had lost a lot of hair recently.
She doesn't need to be free. I just want to accompany her.
Rexter flipped through the documents, his eyes flashing with a hint of gentleness. Kira stepped into the law firm's office. In order to avoid Rexter, she had not come to the office these past few days. As soon as she entered the office, she received a call from Rexter.
How was it? How did it go with your boyfriend last night?
Xavier's voice sounded like he didn't mind the commotion. Kira sighed. Xavier, what did you want to do last night? It's very misleading.
Isn't it good to be misunderstood? Xavier smiled faintly. From the looks of you yesterday, I guess that there must be something wrong. No matter whose fault it is, you're my junior, so I'll definitely help you. I did that in hopes that he would understand that you're very outstanding and that there's no lack of suitors for you. If he doesn't know how to cherish you, you'll soon be snatched away by others. Men need a sense of crisis. Otherwise, after being together for a long time, he might naturally think that you're his.
Kira had already expected this, but when she heard him say it out loud, she felt a warmth in her heart. Thank you.
You should really thank me, Xavier said faintly. Your boyfriend's grip is too strong, and it's hurting my bones. He's too ruthless.
Kira thought about the way the two of them fought last night and found it funny. It seems like you used a lot of strength as well.
Why do you feel sorry for him? Xavier asked with a faint smile.
No, I just think you can use more strength. Xavier laughed.
Sure, I'll use all my strength the next time we meet."
The two of them chatted for a while before hanging up. After all, he had a meeting in the afternoon and Kiera would definitely be there. Around 3 in the afternoon, just before the meeting started, Kiera's phone rang. Xavier was sitting beside her when he saw the word Brexter appearing on the screen. Kiera placed the phone to her ear. Brexter's deep and gentle voice sounded.
"Are you going back for dinner tonight? When are you going back? I don't have the keys."
"I'm meeting outside." Just as Kiera finished speaking, Xavier came over and said loudly,
"Junior, what do you want to eat tonight? How about Chinese food?"
Brexter on the other end of the phone was instantly enraged. Why was it this person's voice again?
"Kiera, are you going to eat with him again tonight?"
Xavier continued.
"Let's go to the Hibiscus Pavilion at the side. The roast goose there is especially delicious. You will definitely like it."
Kiera looked at him speechlessly.
Xavier gave her a playful shrug.
On the other end of the phone, Brexter felt like he was being roasted by a raging fire. He wanted to remind her loudly that they hadn't broken up yet, but she would definitely refute him with the IV drip treatment with Tasha. He could only endure it and say,
"The roast goose is really delicious. I haven't eaten it in a long time. Where is Hibiscus Pavilion? I'll join too."
Kiera was surprised. With his jealous personality, she thought he would be angry. "There's no need. There are more than a dozen people eating with us, as well as the people from the head company." What she meant was that it was just a company meal. Brexter heaved a sigh of relief. But in his heart, he had already regarded Xavier as his #1 rival. That fellow was definitely trying to take advantage of the situation. To be poached like this, did he think he was dead?
"That's even better. Let me get to know more of the people you usually work with."
Kiera rubbed her forehead. "We're talking about business. Why are you, a chief judge, joining in on the fun? If word gets out, it won't be good for your reputation." What she said was indeed the truth. Officials and businessmen had always been taboo. Brexter was happy to hear that, the corners of his lips curving up.
"Kiera, are you concerned about me?"
Forget it. Kiera couldn't stand his smug look, so she hung up the phone. She then sighed and said to Xavier, "Are you addicted to acting?"
"You should be content. With an outstanding man like me willing to be the second male lead and cannon fodder,"
Xavier said as he twirled the pen in his hand. His gaze was dark.
"I bet he will definitely come tonight."
Kiera was embarrassed. "We really have to go to Hibiscus Pavilion for dinner tonight."
"Is that the main point?"
Xavier was slightly stunned. "Of course. The dishes at Hibiscus Pavilion are very expensive." Kiera nodded her head. Xavier smiled when he heard that, his eyes shining. Brexter struggled for a while before he directly navigated to Hibiscus Pavilion after work. It was quite a distance away and there was a traffic jam on the way. By then, it was already 6:40 p.m. When he reached the door, he called Kiera, but no one picked up. He could only brace himself and walk in. The interior was magnificently decorated and the restaurant was very large. It was split into 3 floors, the main hall downstairs and the private chambers upstairs. The moment he entered, a waiter asked, "Sir, do you have a friend eating here or have you reserved a private chamber?" This was the first time Brexter had gone to the private chamber to look for someone without confidence. He was a little embarrassed, but he still answered politely.
"Yes, my girlfriend is eating here. I didn't get through to her on the phone, but I don't know which private chamber she's in."
The waiter looked at his clothes. Although he couldn't tell the brand, his suede jacket and black trousers gave off a calm and collected aura, which made one not dare to underestimate him.
"Then, do you know who booked the private chamber?"
Brexter wanted to say Xavier, but Xavier was famous after all. He had always attracted the attention of paparazzi, so he gave up. Hence he said,
"I only know that my girlfriend's working as their legal consultant. There are quite a lot of people here, more than a dozen. My girlfriend looks like this."
Brexter showed him a photo of himself and Kiera. There were actually so many customers coming and going every day, the waiter didn't remember so many faces.
However, when he mentioned the company's name, the waiter immediately understood. Tonight's table was reserved by Xavier. His boss had already gone over, and when he looked at the photo again, he had an impression of this woman. She had clearly entered with Xavier previously. "Wait here, I'll go ask." The waiter didn't dare to be careless. After all, his boss had personally instructed him to prevent reporters from sneaking in. 7 to 8 minutes after the waiter left, Kiara came down from upstairs. She was wearing a golden silk, half-knitted skirt with a white checkered shirt on top and a beige, knee-length jacket on the outside, looking like beautiful scenery. Not only was she exquisite, but she was also full of femininity. Brexter felt a tinge of jealousy inside. Did Kiara dress so beautifully today to meet Xavier? Kiara was really surprised. She didn't expect that Brexter would guess correctly and that he would really come. "I called you, but you didn't pick up," Brexter said before she could. After saying that, he looked at her with a bitter gaze. "Were you too happy with Xavier and forgot about my existence?" Kiara frowned. "Brexter, I'm not like you. Okay?" Brexter pursed his lips and lowered his long eyelashes. He knew it would end up like this. "I didn't forget about your existence. Never. Can you bring a +1 for this dinner? If you can't, I'll order a meal in the hall and wait for you to finish eating before going downstairs." He sounded extremely wronged. Kiara rubbed the space between her brows. "All right, follow me up." Brexter followed. The private chamber was on the 3rd floor, the innermost and largest private chamber. When they pushed open the door and entered, there were more than 10 people sitting inside. When they saw Kiara bringing in a cold-looking man, everyone was stunned. Randy smiled and said, "Lawyer Cal, your boyfriend's face has finally been revealed. He's really handsome." Kiara smiled faintly. Brexter nodded at the people inside, and his gaze fell on Xavier, who was sitting in the main seat. He took off his coat and wore a white shirt. He seemed to have become the most dazzling man at the dining table. There was an empty seat beside him with Kiara's bag. Brexter's eyes darkened. Kiara ordered the waiter. "Add another chair." Brexter walked over and met Xavier's gaze. He spoke first. "I forgot to introduce myself yesterday. I am Brexter." He stretched out his hand. Xavier saw the red mark on his hand that had not faded. This was the wound from last night when they shook hands. The corner of his mouth twitched. This guy was really perverted. Last night, both of them had used all their strength. Was he going to fight again today? However, there were so many subordinates present today, he didn't want to do that. Kiara reacted quickly as well, grabbing Brexter's outstretched hand. "We shook hands yesterday. There's no need for today. Have a seat." Brexter glanced at the hand he was holding, the corners of his lips curving up slightly, then he glanced at Xavier. After taking a seat, Kiara instantly felt everyone's gaze fall on her. Randy joked, "Lawyer Cal, you're really lucky to have 2 of the most handsome men sitting beside you." Brexter furrowed his brows and Kiara smiled. "Sometimes luck can be a form of pressure. Why do I feel like everyone is looking at me with envy and jealousy?" Everyone laughed. Brexter looked at Kiara with a strange expression. This was the first time he was socializing with her. Although he knew that she was good at socializing, it was better to see her with his own eyes. It was like seeing a brand new Kiara. Randy changed the topic. "Oh, right. Did Mr. Williams meet our CEO yesterday?" "We met last night," Brexter said calmly. Randy suddenly understood. He was afraid that Brexter would misunderstand and affect his relationship with Kiara, so he added, "Last night, Lawyer Cal and Xavier were tasting the fresh ingredients from our supermarket. I think Lawyer Cal must have been exhausted and didn't return home until late." Brexter was stunned. Didn't Xavier cook for Kiara last night? Why were the 2 of them eating in the supermarket? After Randy finished speaking, he suddenly felt a cold gaze fall on him. When he looked over, it seemed to be Xavier's gaze. Randy froze. Did he say something wrong? Xavier sighed in his heart. His cousin really knew how to backstab him. So, you were eating in the supermarket. Rexter glanced over at Xavier with a hint of sarcasm in his tone. Isn't that right? Xavier sighed as he crossed her hands. Our fresh supermarket has just opened for business. You might not know this, but this is an online and offline high-end supermarket. Other than the fresh vegetables freshly grown by farmers from all over the country, there are also top imported meats from overseas. There are more than 3,000 types of products, all kinds. Last night, I asked Kiera to pick any ingredients she liked in the supermarket, and I personally cooked them. Spanish red wine, Australia's top steak, Argentine shrimp, Antarctic cod, Atlantic salmon, French oysters. After dinner, Japanese ice cream, Thai yogurt, Korean fruit drinks, and Chile's fresh cherries. As he continued, everyone fell silent. They looked at Kiera with unspeakable envy and jealousy. Although they were all employees of the company, who could enjoy themselves as much as Kiera? A single dinner was enough to eat all the best food in the world? How was he going to eat this dinner? Rexter's initially mocking expression had already turned as stiff as the ice of the North Pole. He had always known Kiera. How could he not know that she had studied abroad and had a preference for imported food? Especially since these ingredients were among the best in the world. Kiera was speechless. If she ate it, she would eat it. Why does Xavier have to say it out loud? Wouldn't this cause public anger? However, thinking about it carefully, last night was indeed very enjoyable. A female supervisor at the table said with a complicated expression, Lawyer Cal, your appetite's quite good. On the other hand, the general manager hurriedly flattered, Then our CEO's cooking must be good. Speaking of which, I've never tasted CEO's culinary skills before. Lawyer Cal is truly blessed. Everyone was talking all at once, as though they had forgotten about Rexter's existence. Some of them still remembered him, but they were all shrewd people. If their CEO treated Lawyer Cal so well, then perhaps he was trying to poach someone else. As his subordinate, they definitely had to help. Kiera noticed that Rexter's expression was getting colder and uglier. For a moment, she thought that with his temper, he would drag her away. After a moment of silence, he picked up his fork and picked up a piece of roast goose for Kiera. He asked gently, What do you think of the ingredients in their supermarket? Kiera was stunned and nodded. It's fine. Then let's go shopping after dinner. I haven't been there before and there aren't many ingredients left in the fridge. You can buy some fruits and vegetables that you like. As for ice cream and yogurt, we have machines at home and we can make our own. Homemade food is more nutritious and it's not good for us to eat too much ice cream. Remember to eat more organic food in the future, Rexter said in a low voice. His tone was naturally concerned, but his pleasant voice also attracted the attention of some people at the table. Kiera raised her eyebrows. This guy easily turned the situation around just now, but he was also a sharp-tongued person who could not be taken advantage of. Yes, the roast goose in the shop is indeed delicious. Before she could speak, Rexter's handsome brows curved. CEO Langdon, I'm sorry to have made you spend so much money again today. Speaking of which, I've worked in Rosewood City for many years. I remember that this is the first time your company has come to this city to open a company. Let me remind you, you must take proper fire control precautions when opening a supermarket. You must not be careless. The table was filled with a group of smart people. The sudden mention of fire control made the scalps of the management staff present go numb. Everyone knew that coming to Rosewood City was the first step in the expansion of the fresh meat supermarket chain. Everyone here was in a lot of trouble. Those who participated in it knew that the most troublesome thing was not the funding problem, but the related procedures. Especially the fire control problem, the procedures were even more troublesome. They were outsiders. But, to put it bluntly, the ones they were most afraid of provoking were the locals who were well known here. Randy's mind spun and he quickly looked at Xavier. Xavier's lips curved into a smile, his expression calm as he replied, Since we're open for business, we'll definitely do our best with the fire protection measures. But thank you for the reminder, Mr. Williams. Here's to you. He raised a glass. I'll use tea as a substitute for the wine. I need to drive later.
Rexter had just arrived and didn't have a cup, so he took Kiera's teacup. There was a red lipstick mark on it. The wine glass clinked lightly. Kiera, who was sandwiched in the middle, felt the blade in Brexter's eyes. Her scalp went numb and she wanted to finish eating and leave as soon as possible. However, when a large group of people gathered together for a meal, they definitely wouldn't be eating and drinking. It was inevitable that they would talk about work, so Kiera quickly brought the topic back to work. The meal lasted until 8:30 p.m. After it was over, Randy reminded her with a smile.
Lawyer Cal, later bring Mr. Williams around our fresh produce supermarket.
Kiera's lips curled into an embarrassed smile. Brexter gently held her hand and answered on her behalf.
I will buy more produce from your supermarket. Take your time to choose. Anyway, Kiera has a lot of cards from our supermarket. She will use them sooner or later.
Xavier put on his coat and walked over with a smile.
Junior, I will return tomorrow. I will leave the legal matters here to you.
Kiera nodded. Before she could say anything, Brexter had already said,
Have a safe trip. Thank you.
Xavier smiled as though he did not see the hostility in his eyes. He turned to Kiera and said affectionately,
I will take care of you. If you break up, contact me immediately. I will always be waiting for you behind. I can't say that I can give you absolute happiness, but I can give you a chance to treat the supermarket like your own refrigerator. You can always eat whatever you want and take as much as you want. Even if it's something rare in the world, I can dig it out for you. After that, he strode off without looking back.
Brexter looked at his back, gnashing his teeth in hatred.
He had seen people trying to poach him,
but he had never seen someone so brazen. Did he think that he was invisible or blind?
He sneered and turned to Kiera and said, He looks like an experienced lover. Kiera, don't be deceived by his sweet words. Even though I don't have a supermarket, I can still afford what you want to eat. Besides, he's not from here. He definitely won't stay in Rosewood City for you in the future. What about your younger sister?
Kiera glanced at him helplessly and walked forward. I'm going back. Kiera was about to go when Brexter stopped her.
Don't go. Let's go to the supermarket. He went forward and grabbed her hand. I'll buy everything you ate yesterday and cook for you. Let's see who's the better cook.
Kiera looked at him from head to toe with a smile and said, You don't have to try anymore. You don't even know how to fry a steak. How can you compare yourself to him? Moreover, if one were to talk about his culinary skills, he would be a 5-star chef.
Brexter smiled. I don't know how to fry a steak, but I know how to braise a steak, stir-fry a steak, roast a steak. Kiera, I definitely know more tricks than him. Even if you eat lots of fish and meat and exotic delicacies, you will get sick of them. Moreover, your cholesterol will increase. You're already 30, so you should be more careful.
Kiera rolled her eyes speechlessly. I won't go to the supermarket. If you want to go, go by yourself. I'm going home. After saying that, she walked out of the restaurant.
Take my car. Brexter caught up to her and pulled her back. Kiera, you drank just now. You can't drink and drive.
Don't I know how to take a taxi? Kiera said deliberately.
Taking a taxi requires money, but I don't want it. I can pay you back.
Brexter shamelessly dragged her to his car. On the way here, he summarized his experience. As long as he put down his pride, he believed that everything was possible. Kiera wasn't that stupid. Although she felt uncomfortable, his identity as a boyfriend was still there. There was no need to fight it. However, she went straight to the back seat. There was a bouquet of flowers on the back seat and a newly bought scarf. Kiera opened the scarf and took a look. It was a coffee-colored checkered scarf. It was quite stylish.
I think the color suits you.
Brexter quickly stood beside the car and said with a worried heart,
The flowers are also for you. Kiera, I'm sorry for making you unhappy a few days ago.
Kiera turned back and glanced at him. He looked so cautious now. He was no longer as cold and aloof as he used to be in court. She sighed in her heart.
The two of them had many faces. You gave me a necklace last time we quarreled. This time it's a scarf, but it doesn't work every time. Besides, the flowers you gave me aren't as good-looking as the ones Gail gave me. Rexter felt depressed. Gail had been provoked because of Tasha. In the past, it was nothing to see him giving flowers every day, but now he was really smacking his own face. That's different. These flowers were carefully chosen by me. I don't think he has even seen the flowers he gave you. This was definitely a matter of heart. Oh, Kira came to a realization. Even when he gave me flowers, he didn't even need to look at them to be able to make them look better than the flowers you carefully selected. This is a matter of taste? Rexter was stunned, but he quickly came up with a solution. I really don't know much about flower shops. I bought them at a flower shop next to the courthouse. I didn't like to send flowers to women in the past. I'm not like him who often sends flowers to women, so he's very experienced. Next time, how about I go online and find out which flowers in Rosewood City are the best looking? I think you should ask Gail, Kira said kindly. I have Gail's phone number. After all, he is very experienced in sending flowers to your ex-girlfriend and current girlfriend. As a judge, Rexter could only smile bitterly. Kira, when did you get Gail's phone number? Oh, didn't you know when you lied to me about accompanying your ex-girlfriend for IV drip treatment? I asked him out for a meal the next day. Kira sighed. The two of us chatted for a long time, talking about you, his ex-girlfriend, and him. I have a new understanding of him. Some people may look annoying, but it's not easy to understand them. Some people may look aloof, but they are actually quite stupid. Some people may look pitiful, but they are actually quite hypocritical. Only a fool wouldn't be able to tell which three people she was referring to. He was definitely the fool in her heart, but he didn't expect Gail's impression to have changed so much for her. Rexter's handsome face was filled with a hint of annoyance. Do you have any objections to what I said? Kira lowered her head and brushed the white rose beside her. Judge Williams, you can bring it up. After all, you're a judge. The conclusion is all yours. It was just a few seconds, but there was an inexplicable sense of danger in them. Rexter composed himself and smiled calmly. I have no objections. I think your description is spot on. But you were wrong about something earlier. Although I'm a judge in my work, you're a judge in my life. You're the one who can decide my fate with a single sentence. Kira raised her eyebrows and glanced at him. Her gaze was strange for a moment before she smiled. I'm going too far. No, Rexter shook his head and said seriously. Lawyer Kell has a keen eye for discerning people. I admire you very much. I want to learn from you. Kira looked at him for a while. A man was really good when he was shameless. However, she felt a little bitter. After all, he was quite self-aware this time. All right, you can drive. Rexter nodded and got into the driver's seat. It was almost 9:20 when they arrived at Kira's house. When Kira went upstairs, he followed her. Kira turned back and said calmly, We don't live together anymore. You can go back now. I still have my own matters to attend to at home. I don't have time for you. Rexter was stunned. Do you still have to work at night? Don't stay up too late. No. I still have to shower and be with my phone. Do you know how much young people like to be with their phones? Finding time for your phone every day is already the rarest time of the day. Don't disturb me. Rexter felt like he was stabbed by 1,000 knives. Is her phone more important than him now? Kira, it's cold now. You need someone to warm your bed. I can help you warm it before I leave. Anyway, as long as he could maintain his presence, he was willing to do anything. Kira turned to look at him carefully. That look made Rexter's heart tighten, afraid that she would say that he was shameless. Luckily, she nodded. That makes sense. It's really cold in the winter, and I haven't been home for many days. There should be a lot of dust at home. I can clean it, Rexter said hurriedly. Thank you for your hard work, Kira said with a satisfied expression. Once the elevator reached the door, Kira opened it and changed her shoes. Since you've lived here before, I won't say much. I'll go and take a shower. You do your own thing. Okay.
Brexter watched her enter the room before taking off his coat and rolling up his sleeves. It was rare for Kiera to give him a chance, so he would definitely satisfy her. Fortunately, Kiera's house wasn't particularly messy, it was just dusty. However, in order to make Kiera look at him in a new light, he used all his skills, even wiping every tile in the toilet clean. It wasn't until 11 o'clock that Kiera's gaze moved away from her phone. When she saw her own house, she was stunned. The floor was so clean that she could see her reflection. There were also some messy things in the house that were neatly arranged. Brexter washed the rag and looked at her with a smile.
Kiera, I finished cleaning the house.
Kiera took a look around the house and she was starting to admire him.
She had never been so clean before,
but she knew that he was a well-organized and hygienic man.
Not bad,
Kiera nodded. Perhaps it was because she had been too cold recently, but Brexter's heart was filled with sweetness.
I'll warm your bed then.
Kiera looked at him deeply and nodded. You should go take a shower first. I saw that you've gotten quite a bit of dust from the cleaning and your clothes are still in their original place. Brexter thought back to the past and his heart throbbed violently. Even the breath he exhaled was warm.
Okay.
After showering, he crawled into her bed. It was filled with her fragrance. This was not the first time he had slept on this bed, but this time, he felt like he wouldn't be able to sleep on it for the rest of his life. He had to cherish it in the future. Brexter closed his eyes. He had been working a lot these past few days, and in order to spend the night with her, he didn't even rest in the afternoon. He had just cleaned the entire house, and now he felt very sleepy and tired. He had a premonition that Kiera's heart must have softened when she asked him to stay behind to warm the bed. He had been fine just now, and she probably wouldn't let him go back at night. After all, it was almost midnight and his home was too far from here, so it wasn't convenient. She wouldn't be so heartless. His thoughts ran wild for an unknown amount of time before he slowly fell asleep. In his daze, he was suddenly woken up. When he opened his eyes, Kiera was standing by the bed, a smile hanging on her beautiful face. Darling, thank you for warming my bed. You should go back. Brexter rubbed his eyes and sat up. He wasn't really awake yet, but he subconsciously picked up his phone to check the time. It was 12:30 in the morning, so he still had to drive home at 12:30 a.m.?
Kiera, it's too late. I'll stay in the guest room for the night. I'll go to work tomorrow morning.
Brexter knew that it was impossible to sleep in the same bed, so he knew his limits. Then what's the difference between living with me like this? There's no point in me giving your keys back last night. Kiera's smile grew brighter and brighter. Brexter, when I told you to go back, you didn't go back. You were the one who offered to stay and warm my bed. Could it be that you've been thinking about staying and not going back since the beginning? Brexter lowered his gaze and braced himself to deny.
I didn't.
He definitely couldn't admit that when he had fallen asleep under the blanket, he had thought that he would definitely be able to stay the night. It's good that you didn't. If you really had such thoughts, then I wouldn't have allowed you to come in at night for the time being. Otherwise, it would have been easy to send you off, Kiera said as she looked at her watch. There's no traffic jam at this time. It's supposed to be an hour's drive, so you should be there in about 40 minutes. Hurry up and get dressed. It's very late. I'm going to bed too. Brexter stared at Kiera for a while. Seeing that there was no shred of sympathy in her eyes, he had already guessed that she was doing this on purpose. Forget it, as long as she was happy. He smiled bitterly, put on his clothes, and walked out of Kiera's house. Just as the door closed, Brexter heard the sound of a lock being knocked down. Women were really ruthless when they were ruthless. He really missed Kiera of the past. When he walked to the parking lot, the temperature in Rosewood City had dropped abruptly in the wee hours of the morning. It was only 6 to 7 degrees Celsius. The temperature difference in Rosewood City was huge. Brexter did not even wear a sweater. He shivered and quickly got into his car to turn on the heater. In the next few days, Kiera did the same. Although Brexter knew that she was deliberately making him unhappy, he was happy to dig deeper. He also knew that Kiera was actually holding back her anger. As long as she let it out, their relationship would slowly improve. After Caleb found out, he couldn't help reminding Kiera when they were having lunch at the law firm. "Be careful, you might chase Brexter away from you. A man's patience has its limits." "Why are you speaking up for him again?" Kiera stirred the food in her bowl, her gaze carrying a deep meaning. "Don't misunderstand, he didn't look for me." Caleb quickly waved his hand. "When he asked me where you lived, I didn't say a word. Don't you believe me? I just feel that you didn't choose to break up with him, which means you still want to be with him." Kiera casually picked up a piece of cauliflower. She had to admit that Caleb was right about her heart. He was a man who had been intimate with her, and breaking up with him was not an easy decision. Caleb reminded her, "Don't forget, his ex-girlfriend lives near his house. If you treat him so badly now, that guy might really change his heart. You may have asked him to warm your bed, but he is probably willing to fight to warm his bed. Do you know why so many men still cheat after chasing after their goddess in their hearts? It's because the goddess is so high and mighty. He's tired of being frustrated and annoyed. A woman who flattered him appeared. Even if she's not outstanding in all aspects, he still might not go with her." "If there really is such a day," Kiera paused, taking a deep breath before raising her eyes, "then it can only be said that his feelings for me are only so-so. Even if he doesn't leave today, he will leave sooner or later." Caleb's lips parted slightly. It did seem to make sense. Friday, 7:50 a.m. Brexter yawned as he stood by the door to buy food. Recently, he had been returning home at around 1 a.m. every day. During the day, he had been working a lot and felt that he didn't get enough sleep. He would usually cook something at his house, but recently, he really didn't have the energy to do so. Basically just went out to buy some breakfast. There were quite a lot of people lining up in the morning. He just wanted to hurry up so that he wouldn't run into Tasha. But sometimes, it was such a coincidence. After buying the food, he turned around and saw Tasha walking over with her bag. When she saw him, she waved her hand. "What are you eating?" Brexter felt a headache whenever he saw her. His expression was indifferent and he didn't reply much. "I'm in a hurry to go to work." Tasha was stunned and she quickly asked, "Brex, what's wrong with you? Seeing me is like seeing a monster. I didn't do anything. Did your girlfriend misunderstand me and argue with you the other day?" Brexter paused for a few seconds before turning back, his gaze deep and indifferent. Tasha sized him up affectionately, her heart aching. "You seem to have looked a lot more haggard recently. Are you too tired and haven't slept well? Although work is important, you still have to pay attention to your health. Don't tire yourself out at such a young age. You used to be a workaholic." "No matter what happened in the past, at least we are no longer related," Brexter interrupted her. "Your existence has indeed affected me and my girlfriend. I can't interfere with where you live, but I hope that even if we meet, there's no need for us to greet each other. There's no need for us to contact each other. Don't mention the past, and don't call me Brex. We have nothing to do with each other." Tasha's face was filled with shock and hurt. After a while, she asked, "Did I do anything wrong?" "I don't know if you did anything wrong. I only know that I did something wrong," Brexter said in a deep and cold voice. "After breaking up, you shouldn't be involved anymore. It's not that you care about it. It's that you don't want to bring trouble to your partner. Even the bits and pieces of the past should be completely erased. I think you should do the same. Is there any point in always mentioning the past? We are people living in the present and the future, not living in the past. And to be clear, you will not be involved in my future." Tasha's eyes reddened from his cruel words. "Don't you think you've gone too far by doing this to me? Last time at the hospital, there was a misunderstanding." "Maybe it's a misunderstanding," Brexter interrupted her, his tone getting colder and colder.
But I'm afraid you're not aware that your ex-boyfriend has been pestering Kiera. May I ask what kind of relationship I had with Gail? It was all because I was dating you in the past and you broke up with him. He thought it was because you couldn't forget your old feelings for me, so he blamed everything on me. He sent flowers to Kiera every day, causing her trouble, but he didn't like Kiera at all. He just wanted to poach the person I liked and let me have the taste of his pain.
Rexter was angry, especially now that Kiera's impression of Gail had changed.
You're no longer the immature little girl you were back then. You're an adult in your 20s. Why can't you be more mature when dealing with relationships? This has caused a lot of inconvenience to others. You were the one who wanted to be with Gail back then, and you were the one who wanted to break up with him. But I was always the one who was harassed by him. There might be a trend of things getting worse in the future. Can you please explain it to him? I beg you to stop. I don't want to be involved in your love life. I just want to live a peaceful life with the woman I love. He reprimanded her harshly. Tasha rarely saw him with such a stern expression. Her body swayed and her eyes turned red in pain. Rexter. Tasha. You guys are back together?
On the roadside in a black Porsche SUV, a slightly plump, middle-aged man walked out. Time left traces on his face, but Ron Williams' features showed that he was a rarely seen handsome man when he was young. Rexter's expression darkened when he saw him. What kind of unlucky day was this?
Why are you here? Ron frowned. Why can't I come? This is my home too, and I'm still your father.
After that, he looked at Tasha, who quickly wiped the corners of her eyes. Uncle Williams, long time no see.
Why? Did he make you cry again?
Ron looked at Rexter with a sullen face.
Rexter, if you weren't my biological son, I would have suspected that your heart was made of stone. You treated your ex-fiancé as if you were such a cruel person. We broke up a few years ago.
Rexter narrowed his eyes, his gaze cold.
Don't you know that?
Ron was stunned. A hint of regret flashed in his eyes.
If you guys had broken up, why are you still standing at the doorstep? I know. Are you planning to get back together? Are you done yet?
Rexter was extremely impatient. He wanted to make things clear, but who knew that a person who had disappeared for a few years would suddenly appear out of nowhere?
Haven't we already ended our father-son relationship? I don't need you to meddle in my affair. Ron chuckled. Tell me, is there a law that ends the relationship between a father and son?
Rexter's handsome face had an undercurrent of emotions, and he did not say a word. Tasha, on the other hand, hurriedly explained. Uncle Williams, don't misunderstand. We did not get back together. It's just that I live across the street and happened to bump into him when I was buying breakfast.
You live across the street, too? Ron narrowed his eyes and smiled. Living alone, not married, right? I heard that you were engaged to Gail Carnegie in the past.
Tasha was speechless, lowering her head unnaturally. I'm single now. We broke up.
Oh.
Ron raised his brows and nodded.
Lovers who have been apart for so many years, living so close together? This is fate. What are you doing here?
Rexter couldn't take it anymore and interrupted him.
Don't say nonsense. I have a girlfriend. Tasha, you should leave. This is between us, father and son.
She bit her lip and nodded helplessly. Uncle, don't quarrel whenever you two meet. If there's anything, let's talk it out. After all, both of you are biological father and son. She left with a bitter expression. Ron watched her cross the road before looking away.
When did you find a girlfriend? What does she do? Does your mother know?
Rexter looked at his father's expression indifferently. Didn't he know what kind of person he was? He was a person who despised the poor and loved the rich.
No matter what she does, she's still my girlfriend. Please don't interfere in my affairs. You said it yourself back then. Treat your son as dead. I'm very busy and I'm about to go to work. If you want to go home, go ahead. The key hasn't changed. Please don't disturb me anymore. There's nothing to talk about between the two of us. If you were looking for me to help with the relationship, it is even more impossible. Unfilial son! Ron was so angry that his body was trembling. I came back to inform you that your grandfather passed away last night due to illness. Brexter's departing figure froze. Ron continued. It's at the funeral parlor in Manda City. It's up to you whether you want to go. To be honest, if it wasn't for your cold-blooded and merciless nature back then, watching your uncle go to jail and refusing to help, your grandfather wouldn't have been so angry that he suffered a stroke. After suffering for a few years, he couldn't endure it. Brexter clenched his fists with difficulty. After a while, he turned sideways, half of his body sinking into the shadows of the morning sun, as cold as frost. That's true. After suffering a stroke for so many years, he probably didn't realize that his son's imprisonment had nothing to do with his grandson. It was his father's lack of discipline. Bastard! Ron was furious, slapping him across the face. But before he could touch Brexter's face, he had blocked him, holding Ron's hand in midair. Dad, you're getting old. Your speed is much slower now compared to your previous hit on me, and you're much more powerless. After he said that, he flung Ron's hand away. I've received your notice. If I have the time, I'll attend the funeral. If I don't have the time, forget about it. After saying that, he turned around and left without looking back, not caring how fiercely Ron was screaming at him from behind. After getting into the car, Brexter sat quietly for a while before slowly burying his face in his palm. When he rushed to the court, Sandra saw his haggard expression and sighed in shock. Chief Judge, you're 10 minutes late today. This was the first time he had seen him come late to the court. So be it. Brexter pulled out his chair and sat down expressionlessly. Sandra watched his back for a while before he went out to secretly call Kiera. Kiera was about to go to a meeting when she saw Sandro calling. After some hesitation, she picked up. Lawyer Kell, this is bad. Sandro's nervous voice came through the phone. I feel like there's something wrong with the chief judge today. He's late. Kiera rubbed the space between her brows. I'm late this morning too. Not only this morning, but I'm usually late for half a month. There's nothing strange about being late. But the chief judge is never late, Sandro said. I've been working at the court for a few years, but I've never seen him come late once. Even when he had the flu a few days ago, he always dragged himself to work and wasn't late for a minute. When he came over this morning, he looked terrible. Kiera wondered if she had tortured him too much in the past few days. It was true. It was very tiring to go to work every day. At night, he still had to go over to her place to cook dinner, clean up, warm the bed, and only go to bed after 1 o'clock. It was indeed quite miserable. However, he was a tall and strong man, so he shouldn't collapse so early, right? Could it be that the previous fever was too severe, that his body had suffered too much damage? It was possible. After all, he was so old, he couldn't be compared to a young man in his late 20s. Perhaps it was better not to be too ruthless tonight. That night, after Kiera returned home from her social gathering, she just walked out of the house when the lights in the corridor were lit up by the sound of footsteps. She looked up and saw Brexter leaning against the door. The orange lights lingered around him, giving off a lonely aura. Kiera thought that there was something wrong with him today. Although he didn't treat her well in the past, he always had a smile on his face when he saw her. You're back. When he saw her, Brexter stood up straight and smiled at her, but that smile didn't reach his eyes. Kiera looked at him strangely. Have you eaten? No. Kiera frowned. She had replied to his message that she had a business meeting with a client at night, so why didn't he eat before coming up? Do you want to starve to death? Kiera, you still care about me, right? Rexter's pale lips curved slightly, wanting to hug her gently. But before he could get close, he was blocked by Kiera with her bag. Seeing him like this, she suspected that Sandro had called her earlier in the morning to soften her heart. In fact, both of them were just using a trick to get to her. Rexter stared at her for a while, lowering his long eyelashes. Kiera, my grandfather, passed away last night. Kiera was stunned. Probably because she rarely heard him mention his family, but in any case, they didn't interact with each other anymore. When she suddenly heard that his grandfather had died, her mind went blank for a while. So he had a grandfather. She had always thought that he might have died long ago. The corridor lamp above her head was switched off, and through the moonlight, the sadness on his body overflowed. This was the first time she had seen Rexter so lonely. She wanted to harden her heart, but she felt sympathy for him. "How did he die?" she asked softly. "I've never heard you mentioning him before." "After my uncle's accident, he suffered from a stroke and was traumatized." Rexter raised his head. His throat was slightly hoarse. "It's good that he's dead. The old man suffered a stroke and was paralyzed. It was quite boring to live." Kiera sighed. She knew that he wasn't that cold in his heart. If he was, he wouldn't be so abnormal. "Did you offer prayer to him?" Rexter's lips curled into a self-deprecating smile. "I don't think anyone would welcome me if I went to offer my condolences. My grandfather might even jump out of his coffin in anger." Kiera stared at him silently before taking out the key from her bag. "Let's go in first." After changing his shoes, Rexter walked into the kitchen to get a broom. Kiera frowned. She rolled her eyes at him. "Forget it. Today's situation is special. Don't work anymore. Go and sit down." Rexter pursed his lips and said in a low voice, "Let me work. I want to find something to do." Kiera understood that he was just trying to distract himself. She didn't know what to say when she saw him being so insistent. Rexter took the broom and cleaned up the place, making it even cleaner than before. Kiera saw this and prepared a bowl of noodles for him. After placing the noodles on the table, she walked over and forcefully threw away the rag in his hand. Then she pulled him to the dining table and sat him down. "Eat." Rexter looked at the bowl of noodles on the table. There was a medium-rare poached egg and vegetables on it. His heart warmed. "Kiera, thank you." He turned back to look at her. Kiera hated herself for being soft-hearted, but she was not an unreasonable person. She was angry, but it was meaningless to torture someone whose family member had just passed away. Everyone had their moments of death, and everyone had their moments of helplessness and sorrow. Besides, no matter how much Rexter disliked his grandfather, he was still a family member whose blood was thicker than water. There was no way to change that. "Where's your grandfather's funeral? Let me accompany you tomorrow," Kiera said as she sat on the side. Rexter was moved. He didn't expect her to suggest accompanying him. His Kiera was a tough-talking but soft-hearted person. When Kiera saw that he was silent, she continued, "You didn't do anything wrong. Your uncle's accident and your grandfather's stroke were linked together. So everyone will feel that you are responsible. In this world, there are many things that others may not understand. As long as you don't have a guilty conscience, it's fine. I think you can only blame your uncle. He's such a grown man. He doesn't behave properly and he did nothing illegal to make his parents worry. Your grandfather is responsible too. He didn't educate his son well. Your family's relatives are responsible too. As brothers and sisters, they are aiding the wicked as they didn't stop him." Rexter stared at her before smiling and reaching out to hug her waist. This time, Kiera was caught off guard and was hugged by him. She turned back to glare at him. Don't even think about taking the opportunity to act like a hoodlum. Kiara, you're very good. Really good. Brexter leaned his head on her waist. I will never do anything to hurt you again. Kiara was puzzled. Weren't they talking about his dead grandfather? Why was he talking about love again? However, seeing that he wasn't doing anything else, she decided to let him lean on her for a while. Kiara, I don't want you to go. I'm afraid that you'll run into my family and my father. Brexter suddenly said with a complicated tone. You definitely won't like them. Kiara had a headache and finally said, Brexter, my family isn't that great too. But when we're together, I'll always stand by your side in front of my parents' unreasonable behavior. As long as you can do that, I think there won't be any problems. Brexter nodded. There was nothing to cherish in a family like that. He only wanted to live a good life with her in the future. Manda City. It was an hour's drive away from Rosewood City. On the way, Kiara knew that Brexter was in a bad mood, so she chose to drive. Brexter sat in the front passenger seat looking at the bleak scenery outside. He remembered that he hadn't returned for many years. In the past, when his parents hadn't divorced, he would return to Manda City every New Year. The roots of his family were here, but now, this city was unfamiliar. When they reached the entrance of the funeral home, Kiara parked the car and both of them walked in together. Brexter was holding a chrysanthemum in his hand. He was dressed in a black jacket and black trousers today, and his deep facial features gave off a cold and distant feeling. Kiara was dressed in black too. After entering, she took a look at the situation inside. Old Williams' funeral home was quite large, and it was clearly shown that the Williams family's financial situation was not bad. The mourning hall buzzed with discussion when they saw both of them enter. A middle-aged woman in her 50s walked out angrily. Why are you here? If it wasn't for you, your grandfather wouldn't have died so early. If I was you, I wouldn't even have the face to show up. Nancy truly hated Brexter. Back then, when her hubby was in prison, she and her daughter had knelt to beg him for help, but he wasn't willing. All these years, her hubby had been in prison, and it had been hard for her to bring up her daughter alone. Brexter glanced at her. Auntie, you're still so unreasonable after all these years. Get out of the way. I'm not here to pay my respects to you. You? How can you say that? Nancy was so angry that she picked up the broom beside her and threw it at Brexter. You caused my husband to be in prison. You still have the audacity, right? Brexter grabbed the broom. He was strong and tall, and Nancy was completely helpless against him. She could only curse and cry like a shrew. Her daughter ran over to hit Brexter. However, she was only in high school, so Brexter allowed the child to hit him a few times. Kiara frowned. The Williams family didn't come out to stop the commotion in the mourning hall. This family was quite strange. If you guys continue to cause trouble, you might have to go to the police station to keep your filial piety today. Kiara took out her phone to take photos for evidence. Who are you? Ron walked out with a dark expression. Why are you here? Kiara looked at him. Even though he had put on weight, she could tell that his facial features were similar to Brexter's. Brexter's family was staring at Kiara with an accusing gaze. She's my girlfriend. Brexter quickly pushed his niece away and shielded Kiara behind him. His expression was cold. I know you guys don't welcome me. I'll just offer my condolences and leave. Delete the photo! Ron pointed at Kiara coldly. This is a mourning hall. You're disrespecting the deceased by taking photos. Don't you even have basic manners? Brexter's eyes were filled with anger. He regretted coming today. He shouldn't have brought Kiara along. Forget it. Let's go. He turned around and held Kiara's hand as they walked out. As long as one of them had the heart, it didn't matter where they bowed.
Ron was stunned and berated. Stop! Don't you have any humanity? You didn't even bow when your grandfather died. Don't forget, your grandfather treated you so well in the past. Brexter pursed his lips. He was the first eldest grandson of the Williams family, and he was indeed very good to him. His grandfather was famous for prioritizing sons over daughters. When I'm here, you guys scolded me for coming. If I don't come, you guys say that I have no humanity. Brexter laughed self-deprecatingly as his gaze swept over the faces of the Williams family members in the morning hall. Ron frowned. Kira frowned and took out her phone. I didn't take any photo just now. You don't have to make such a fuss. She wanted to add, at least I know how to behave in the morning hall without making a fuss. However, this was Brexter's own family matter after all, so she should stay out of it. Ron looked at Kiera's displeasure. If Brexter said that he had a girlfriend, then it must be her. He didn't like her. Although she was beautiful, she was too fierce. Why did a woman have to be so fierce? She was too mean. Kiera could tell that Ron didn't like her. She pursed her lips, not wanting to curry favor with him. Can I go pay my respects now? Brexter said calmly. If I can't, I'll leave then. Ron glared at him, his chest heaving with anger. Nancy screamed, Get lost! Get as far away as possible! Nancy, let him pay his respects. In the morning hall, an old and stooped woman came out slowly, supported by someone. It was Grandmother Williams. He really likes Brexter, so let him send him off. Mom! Nancy was unwilling. Ron added, Let him go after he paid his respects. Nancy fell silent. Brexter held Kiera's hand as they walked towards the casket. The two of them bowed and placed their chrysanthemums before walking towards the old woman. Grandmother? The grandmother slowly closed her eyes as she took a deep breath. Your grandfather was very conscious for a while before he died. He never blamed you. You should go back. Brexter was stunned, his eyes reddening after a while. He narrowed his eyes and pursed his dry lips. Thank you. Take care of yourself. I'm leaving. With that, he turned around and left with Kiera. On the way back to the city, Brexter remained silent. No one knew what he was thinking. Kiera did not disturb him until the car stopped at the entrance of his neighborhood. You should go home and rest for a while. She felt that Brexter would rather be alone right now. Brexter held her hand, his gaze bleak. I'll go over and help you cook tonight. Kiera looked at him and laughed. Stop cooking. You're off today. Kiera, I'm sorry for making you suffer today. Brexter suddenly said with a complicated tone. On the first day I was with you, I told myself that I wouldn't let you suffer. But recently, you've been suffering a lot. Kiera smiled bitterly. Wasn't she suffering? My parents made you suffer too, didn't they? We were attracted to each other in the beginning. Wasn't it because we were in similar situations and could understand each other's feelings, so we hugged each other to keep each other warm? Brexter stared at her for a while, then suddenly said, Kiera, I plan to sell the house here and renovate the new one. What style do you like? When did I say I was going to marry you? Kiera raised her eyebrows and crossed her arms. Don't forget that I haven't gotten over your ex-girlfriend yet. I bumped into her again yesterday morning, Brexter smiled. I've made it clear to her that we're strangers in the future. She didn't cry? Kiera was surprised. Brexter was stunned and recalled Tasha's appearance. Her eyes were red. Kiera, she might really still like me. You were right in the past. I thought too simply. Kiera pursed her lips. You decided to renovate the house to avoid her? Brexter shook his head, looking at her gentle, sincere eyes. I want to say goodbye to the past. My future will be yours entirely, be it my parents or Tasha. Kiera was deep in thought, and then suddenly something clicked. Let's go for a movie. she said, and without waiting for a reply, dragged Brexter out of the door. On the way to the theater, the couple bought a lot of snacks. Brexter felt light in his chest after a long while. He let Kiera buy whatever she wanted and drove to the theater. After getting the tickets, the two of them walked slowly towards their seats but were stopped by the person in charge. "Sir, you can't take snacks inside the theater," he explained. Brexter's brows furrowed. "But I just saw that someone else took it in." The ticket inspector sighed helplessly. "They must have bought it from the theater itself, and you brought too much. Many people brought food in, causing the inside to be messy and the smell to be very strong. Either you eat it before going in or put it in the storage cabinet outside for the time being." Kiera nodded, pulling Brexter to the side. "Forget it. Just stuff it in my bag. I think that's what other people do. They don't have the right to search my bag." Fortunately, she carried a big bag for the documents. Brexter glanced at the ticket inspector. He frowned and cleared his throat. "That person has been staring at us. It's not good, and you can't pack so many things. I'll eat my share. You put your share in your bag. The movie will be screened in 2 minutes. Hurry up and go in. I'll bring my bag in later." Kiera didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Sometimes she really didn't know whether to say that he was too upright or too rigid, but this movie was said to be good. She really didn't want to delay the first few minutes. She couldn't understand what he meant. "Then I'll go in first." "Okay." When she left, she saw Brexter open the sandwich, gulping down mouthfuls of soda, his cheeks puffed up. And his flustered and anxious appearance couldn't help but make her laugh. About 5 minutes after the screening, Brexter came in and sat beside her. In the darkness, he found her small hand and held it. His fingers were sticky, and Kiera could hear him burping nonstop. She looked over and Brexter said calmly, "I ate too quickly." Kiera could not help asking, "So you ate a whole sandwich, a piece of cake, and a large cup of drink in 7 minutes?" Brexter coughed lightly and nodded. Kiera gave him a thumbs up. Perhaps he had not only eaten too quickly, but he had also eaten too much. After all, he had just eaten dinner not too long ago. Thus, in the first 20 minutes of the movie, Brexter kept burping, causing the people around him to cast disturbing gazes at him. After the movie ended, Brexter drove back to Kiera's house. "Kiera, I applied for my annual leave for the rest of the week." Kiera was stunned, but she nodded. "It's good to rest. Humans aren't machines. We need to relax, too." "I just want to rest and spend more time with you." Brexter's eyes were filled with a gentle smile. "I'll cook for you and do the laundry. Although I can open an imported supermarket for you, I have to let you know how practical I am." Kiera covered her forehead in amusement. Was he still jealous of Xavier? "Up to you." "Oh, right. You still haven't told me whether my braised steak is better or Xavier's shoulder steak is better," Brexter continued to ask meaningfully. Kiera turned around and asked with a faint smile, "Then may I ask if it's more comfortable for me to accompany you in IV drip treatment or Tasha to accompany you?" "Of course, it's you." Brexter quickly understood and stopped asking. The conversation came to an end when the car was parked in the parking space below Kiera's building. Brexter turned around, his eyes exceptionally bright and expectant in the dark. "Kiera, can I be the electric blanket on your bed tonight?" Kiera blinked in confusion. Brexter explained patiently. "The electric blanket can maintain its temperature and not get cold. As long as I'm around, it will always be hot, and it doesn't need to be recharged. It can save electricity and save resources." Oh, Kiera was enlightened. She was so impressed by him. "Are there any other benefits? If you tell me another that can convince me, I'll let you stay." Brexter opened his mouth. Kiera immediately said, "Don't act like a hooligan." Brexter furrowed his brows and fell into a dilemma. After 3 seconds of silence, his thin moved again. "It's safe." Kiera raised her eyebrows with interest, waiting for him to continue. Brexter smiled faintly. "I once tried a case in court. The defendant was a manufacturer of electric blankets. Their electric blanket caught fire in the middle of the night. That person was lucky, but his back and buttocks were completely burnt. Kiera raised her hand to stop him from continuing. She felt that she might not even dare to use electric blankets when she grew old in the future. That's why artificial electric blankets are better. Brexter's gaze was sincere and sincere. They won't spontaneously combust. They won't short circuit. If you tell him to scram, he'll scram. If you tell him to come, he'll come. Actually, I'd sincerely recommend that you use them until you grow old. It's fine if you're young now. You don't like vitality. When you grow old, you'll have to use them, especially when the weather in the future becomes more and more extreme. In the past, the weather in Rosewood City wasn't this cold. Have you watched Wandering Earth? In the future, the weather on Earth will be minus 40 to 50 degrees Celsius. Kiera didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If she continued, he might even teach her about protecting the environment. Chief Judge Williams, can I understand what you're saying about the quality of these products being Brexter touched his chin. Of course. I hope that the quality will get better and better. There are still many illegal manufacturers on the market who will do anything for profit. If we want to buy, we have to buy those with proper trademarks. For example, for me, the National Judicial Brand trademark has a quality guarantee, just like how people go to public hospitals and public schools these days. With the support of the country, it's always good. Kiera gave him a thumbs up and sighed in admiration. It would be a waste if he didn't sell the electric blanket. Impressive. You win. Brexter's handsome face seemed to be lit up by a light in an instant. His eyes were bright and shining. Kiera felt as though she was being stared at by a wolf. She quickly lowered her head and got out of the car. Brexter quickly locked the car and chased after her. He held her hand as they entered the elevator. He hugged her from behind and placed his hand in her pocket. In public, can you be more careful? Kiera thought to herself. This electric blanket was really effective. No, Kiera. I swear in the name of the law that I will never lie to you again. If I meet Tasha, I will definitely be honest with you. Brexter turned her around and stared at her. Kiera raised her head and stared at his delicate chin for a while before looking into his deep eyes. They were like magnets that could easily suck people in. She took a deep breath to calm herself down. Brexter, if there's a next time, we will break up. Although it's not a huge mistake based on principles, some mistakes can be forgiven the first time. But if it's the second time, it's an intentional mistake. Don't make me look ridiculous, okay? Never, never again. The next day when Brexter woke up, Kiera was still sleeping. Her long black hair draped over one side of her shoulders, looking exceptionally gentle. She had been very tired the night before, so he didn't dare to disturb her. He tiptoed out of the bedroom, made breakfast, and went to work. Today, after he finished his work, he would be on annual leave. After a while, it will be the new year. When he reached his office, Ron was waiting for him. I want you to marry Tasha. I've considered her family, to invest in my business, and this is the condition, Ron declared out of the blue. You've already made a decision about this for investment? Brexter couldn't believe his father. His day was going fine until now. He spoke so bluntly, but Ron still took a sip of his tea awkwardly before nodding. That's right. Nowadays, no one would invest so easily, but it's different when they're relatives. If you're not satisfied with Tasha, I have a friend whose daughter isn't married either. I'm a dignified judge, and you want me to sell my body to save your dying business? Brexter's voice became extremely stern and cold. Aren't you guys overestimating yourselves, or are you insulting me too much? He simply couldn't believe it, or rather, he was furious. He had always been calm and collected, but no one had ever insulted him like this in his life. Perhaps he didn't earn much, but he had always been conscientious and worked hard to make a contribution to the judicial industry. He had always been proud of this, and many people respected and feared him. But he was humiliated by his own father? Ron was stunned for a moment. Then he frowned and explained. I didn't mean that. It's normal for people to want to do better. Besides, I'm also thinking of your happiness for the rest of your life. Wouldn't it be better to find someone who's docile to you? Your current girlfriend can't take any losses. She's been in society for so many years and is as smart as a loach. Moreover, her income is also higher than yours. She runs her own law firm and is the boss. After a long time, she will still be attracted to their world. You can't hold her at all. Adeline, don't you think so? Adeline Williams looked at her son's cold gaze and felt a little uneasy. However, when she thought of her half-dead company, she still nodded. To be honest, Tasha used to be quite good to us. If you marry her, you will complement each other. Besides, didn't you like her in the past? Ron nodded. If your mother and my company collapse, we will be a burden to you sooner or later. Why do we have to go to that extent? Besides, you are my only son. The family business will belong to you sooner or later. You need to focus on your work, get married, and have children. When the time comes, you can take over our money. Besides, the entire Williams family depends on my company for their livelihood. If my company's gone, your aunts and cousins will lose their jobs. Think about it. Your uncle will go to jail and your cousin is still in high school. If their jobs are gone, what will they do? When you want to use me, you say that I'm your only son, Brexter said with a low chuckle. But you seem to have forgotten how the family treated me when I went to the funeral hall yesterday. You also forgot that when you left that year, you said that you wouldn't leave a single cent of your assets in this lifetime. Ron said embarrassedly, Those are just words of anger. Adeline mumbled, You're his only son. Who else would he give it to if not you? Are you done? Brexter asked. If you're done, then let me do the talking. Mom, look at the jewelry and accessories on your hands and the brands you're wearing. A watch of yours is comparable to a house. Even if the company goes bankrupt, the house under your name should be enough for you to live comfortably for the rest of your life, right? Furthermore, you still have your pension. To put it bluntly, you're not satisfied. You're used to living a lavish life and only want to live until the old days. It's a pity that you're old and decrepit and you can't find a rich man to rely on. You! Adeline stood up, ashamed and angry. Brexter did not look at her, but turned his gaze to Ron. Let's talk about you again. You insisted on handing over the position of the company to a bunch of people from the Williams family who doesn't have the capability to manage the company. That's why the company's reputation is getting worse by the day. Now, you want me to marry a woman I don't love? Have I lost my mind? Are the people from the family good to me? Even if they are good to me, I don't have to be so stupid, right? If the company goes bankrupt and they lose their job, then go out and look for another one. It's not like your whole family is the only one in the entire country who has a job. It's just that, to put it bluntly, if you don't have the ability, it's indeed difficult to find a high-paid job. However, the national policy is so good now. As long as you can endure hardship and work hard, you won't starve. I'm not a saint. I don't have to step in and help your Williams family. Ron did not expect him to be so blunt and curt. He was so angry that his body was trembling, and the anger in his eyes was so intense that he wanted to eat him up. You heartless, cold-blooded fellow! Are you speaking the human language? I'm just speaking the truth. Brexter's dark eyes flashed coldly. I really didn't want your money. Besides, I don't need you to tell me who I want to marry. You have no right to control who I want to marry. I'm very busy, so I won't accompany you. He slowly stood up. I don't think you need to come to me unless you are sick and dying in the hospital. Instead of using me to make money, why don't you see what other assets you can sell?" After that, he didn't care about his parents' ugly expressions and went straight into his office. Not long after, the sound of something breaking came from outside the reception room. After a while, Sandro knocked on the door nervously and entered. Chief Judge Williams, your parents left in a huff." "Yes." Brexter opened the file, his face filled with sorrow and bitterness. At 10 p.m., Brexter dragged his tired body back to Kiera's side. The living room was lit up, but there was no one around. The study room was faintly lit up. He walked over and gently pushed open the half-closed door. Kiera was dressed in light purple pajamas and was working on her desk. She was holding a pen in one hand and a document in the other. The notebook on the side was flickering with a faint light because she was too serious. She didn't even notice his presence. Brexter leaned against the door frame and stared at her back for a while. It was only when Kiera used one hand to feel for the coffee cup beside her that he suddenly reminded her, "Be careful, don't burn your hand." Kiera's body trembled and she was so startled that her hand knocked over the coffee, causing the liquid to fall onto the floor. Brexter quickly went to the kitchen to get a cloth to wipe the coffee. Kiera glared at him. "When did you come back? Your sudden appearance gave me a fright. If it wasn't for you, my coffee wouldn't have spilled." "You brought the coffee yourself and didn't even look at it. Your hand was almost in the coffee cup." Brexter knocked her head. "And who drinks at night?" "I do, because I need to stay awake." Kiera yawned. "It's the end of the year, and Splingo Corporation has a lot of work to sort out. They won't pay me if I don't sort it out." "So cruel." After wiping the floor, Brexter placed his hands on the table and wrapped her in the chair in his arms. "My darling is really working hard. Do you want me to give you a massage?" Kiera glanced at him and quickly said, "Thank you, no need. I'm very busy. I still have a pile of documents to register." Brexter was in deep thought. "You know, I love my job. No matter how hard I work, I still think it's good. After so many years, I can't say that I'm outstanding, but I've never thought that I'm a failure in any way." After Brexter finished speaking, the temperature in his eyes slowly turned colder. "But I never thought that one day I would be so pathetic that my parents would use me as a commodity to trade." Kiera was stunned. This was probably the first time she had seen Brexter's angry and furious gaze. "Trade what?" Brexter turned and hugged her in his arms. "My parents' companies are currently in a slump. They want me to find a rich heiress who can inject capital into their company. Even Tasha, who betrayed me, would be good for them. They tried their best to get me and her back together. In their eyes, I'm just a tool. Back then, she didn't hesitate to betray me and they cut all ties with me. Now that I have something to use, they come to me and tell me that in the future, all the assets in the family's will belong to me sooner or later. Don't you think that's funny?" At this point, Kiera really didn't feel sleepy at all. Why was Tasha brought up again? It wasn't easy for the two of them to settle down. Why was there another problem? They just don't like people who aren't useful to them. It's the same for me. We live our own lives. We have jobs. We don't lack money, and we don't need to worry about food. We don't need to care about them at all. You should say that to yourself. Kiera raised her hand and pinched his face. As long as you have me, it's fine. Don't bother about them. Her last sentence was so short, yet it was so heartwarming that it hit the most vulnerable part of Brexter's heart. Brexter lowered his head and stared at her for a while before pressing his lips against hers. You're right. The price of coaxing someone was that she was so exhausted, yet she couldn't even apply for a year-end leave. Fortunately, Brexter was resting, so he drove her to work personally. I'll pick you up after work. Brexter waved at her from the car window. Kiera nodded, making a call as she rushed into the elevator. As she squeezed into the morning elevator, Richard's nagging voice could be heard on the phone. Miss Kell, please hurry up. In the past, you were so efficient when you weren't in a relationship. You would hand over the new contract management system even on New Year's Day. But now that time has passed and you have started lagging behind. I'm on it, Richard. It's done, Kira informed. She rushed out of the elevator towards her cabin. Ron was there waiting for her. With his son's good-looking face and career achievements, many women had come knocking on his door. Even the daughter of a rich family like Tasha had tried to curry favor with them, but this woman didn't give them any face. He knew he wasn't wrong. This woman was too powerful. If Brexter married her, it would be terrible. Kira stopped when she recognized the man. Mr. Williams, how can I help you? She asked. She had an idea about why he could be here. After all, Brexter had told her about the whole incident. Break up with my son. I have found a better match for him, or else prove to me how you can be beneficial to him, Ron said nonchalantly. Sir, we are both businessmen, Kira observed his expression. That's right. I am dating your son. But to put it bluntly, if it weren't because of him, we wouldn't have had any interaction at all. If I were to curry favor with you, it would definitely be to gain your support, but it is clear that you have come with ill intentions. You don't like me, and you don't even have basic respect for me. Since you don't have a good impression of me, then it would be useless even if I were to please you well. So I'm not going to waste my time and energy on you. Ron's lips curled into a cold smile. You are indeed very shrewd. However, as long as you prove your worth to me, there is still a chance to turn things around. He bumped into the two shareholders earlier. He knew that she had connections with wealthy people. He believed that as long as she was willing to help, his company might have a chance. Kira raised her eyebrows. Didn't you come here to ask me to leave your son? Ron was slightly embarrassed. He didn't want to say things out loud, and he believed that she knew what he was trying to say, as she was such a smart woman. My worth? Your son knows it the best. She suddenly smiled playfully. I guess you don't need to know. After all, you're not my boyfriend. Ron flew into a rage out of humiliation. Be careful with your words. Don't be indiscreet and weird. I'm not one of your clients. Well, my clients make me money. What can you make me? She spread her hands and said openly. To put it bluntly, the worth you were talking about is to bring you money, right? Do you want me to find someone to invest or lend you money? To be honest, I do have money, but I will not invest in your company. Why? Because you have never respected me from the start. Even if I help you, you will take that for granted. For a person like you, who would use your son as a tool, who would dare to cooperate with you? Besides, I have all kinds of projects to invest in around me. Why would I invest in your half-dead company? From the moment I walked in until now, have you ever shown me any respect? There is a line written on your face. If you want to marry my son, you have to please me with money. Otherwise, I will never allow that. Ron stood up angrily, the corners of his mouth twitching, his eyes burning with rage. Very well. Since you're so self-aware, I'll be frank with you. Don't even think about marrying my son, young lady. You're too young and too impulsive. We'll see. Kira turned back, her gaze unwavering. Then let me remind you. We, lawyers, can stand firm in the city. There's a reason for that. The people that I have come into contact with are richer, better, and more powerful than you. If you want to teach me a lesson, go ahead. I don't think the connections you have are any better than those on my hands. However, please be careful, as you might need to leave Rosewood City anytime if someone finds out the dirty tricks that you played to save your company. As soon as Kira finished her sentence, Ron stomped his foot and left in a fury. Kira watched his back and shook her head. She couldn't believe that such people really did exist. Later that day, Ron called Brexter and berated him as usual. Brexter sighed. "Forget it. I can't be bothered to talk to you, but I will marry Kiara no matter what you say." He cut the call after listening to his father spout nonsense. After hanging up, Brexter stared at the floor and guilt filled his mind. He then called Kiara apologetically. "My dad went to see you at the law firm." "Yeah." Kiara guessed that Ron must have spoken ill of her, so she told him the truth right away. "Your dad was very rude to me, so I wasn't polite to him either." "I knew it," Brexter chuckled. "You did well." Kiara knew that he would stand by her side. But when she heard him say that, she heaved a sigh of relief. "Actually, what I did wasn't entirely just for myself. I felt that your father was too selfish, even towards you. He didn't behave like a father at all. He only thought about himself." There were some things that she didn't want to say too directly. She worried that it might hurt Brexter's feelings. "Yes, I know. Fortunately, I have a wife who loves me now," Brexter replied jokingly. Kira humped and said bluntly, "Your father's matters aren't done yet, and I haven't agreed to be your wife, so don't call me that." "That's his matter, not mine." Seemed like Brexter wished to get rid of it. "He wants me to marry a rich girl, but he doesn't know that Lawyer Kell is not only rich, but far more than that. Do I need to beat around the bush? Besides, you said that my living is on you, and the lawyer's words carry weight." Kira clicked her tongue. "Chief Judge Williams, you are so shameless, but I am indeed not as rich as your ex-girlfriend." Hey, wrong. Her money belongs to her parents, but your money belongs to you, so you are definitely richer," Brexter replied calmly. "Besides, her parents are old and their abilities are limited, but you are younger than me and have a bright future ahead of you." Not bad. As a classmate of Mr. Bennett, you know how to make long-term investments, Kira nodded with a smile. "Lawyer Kell. Anyway, I'm depending on you for the rest of my life," Brexter chuckled. "I've made dinner for you. Come back earlier tonight, wifey." The last sentence was gentle and affectionate. Kira felt that her face was burning due to shyness. Recently, Brexter was on leave. With him at home, Kira found that home was always a safe and warm place, no matter how tired she was from work every day. In the past, when she returned home, it was always empty, cold, and cheerless. Now when she was home, what welcomed her were hot dishes and cut fruits. Sometimes Brexter even washed her clothes and prepared her favorite snacks. That night, when Kira returned from a meeting in Splingo, she asked Brexter expectantly, "How many days off are you guys having for the new year? Why don't we spend the new year in Tokyo? I heard the Bennett family will spend their new year abroad too. I think it will be nice if we spend it together since both of us don't have a good relationship with our parents." Brexter was eating when he heard her. He frowned and put down his fork in a serious manner, saying, "I don't think Japan is the best place to go." That makes sense," Kira nodded seriously. "Then what about Australia? It will be summer there, right?" Brexter's brows were still tightly furrowed. "Not very interested." Kira rubbed her forehead. "Hey, we can't possibly go to Pakistan, right?" Brexter smiled. "Lawyer Kell is quite familiar with international news." "After knowing you, I have to know a little," Kira lamented. Brexter stared at her with a worried expression and suggested, "What about Russia?" "No way," Kira said firmly. "I've been there before. The scenery was average and the winter was too cold for me." "Let's go to Switzerland. We can ski there." Brexter smiled. "Aren't you afraid of the cold if you go skiing in Switzerland?" You even have an issue with Switzerland? Kira looked at him unbelievably. Brexter looked at her for a while before nodding. Chill. All right. Let's go to Switzerland. Kiera was finally satisfied. If he rejected her idea again, she would never go on a trip with him anymore. Since you have time tomorrow, go and get your visa. So soon? I'll book the plane tickets later. Brexter was surprised. Aren't we joining a tour group? Switzerland was so far away. All this while, he traveled to Europe in a tour group. Kiera looked at him unbelievably again. OMG, you're really old-fashioned. Why would we want to go with the tour group? Besides, I've been to Europe several times. Mr. Williams, you sound like a middle-aged man. Do you know that? Brexter raised his eyebrows in dissatisfaction. Well, a middle-aged man can't perform that well at night. Kiera rolled her eyes at him in embarrassment. Hey, mind your words. Don't try to deflect from the topic. Brexter pursed his thin lips into a straight line. It's just that I rarely go abroad, and I've never not followed a tour group to such distant places. I understand. Kira held back her laughter and patted the back of his hand. No worries. Let the boss bring you to travel all over the world. The boss? I think you need to be taught a lesson. Seeing the ridicule in her eyes, Brexter stood up and walked towards Kiera. Kiera sensed the danger and stopped eating. She turned around and wanted to run, but she was caught by Brexter immediately. Brexter, don't you dare to! He kissed her without waiting for her to finish her sentence. In the blink of an eye, the room was filled with love. Ron and Adeline went to Brexter's place for him, but to no avail. Both of them had a key to his room, and they realized that Brexter had not returned in a while, and half of the clothes in his wardrobe were missing. Ron was furious. This bastard must be with that woman! Adeline frowned, looking rather tired. Forget it. I've asked around. Kiera is not someone we could easily mess with. She knows a lot of people with big backgrounds. What if we really piss her off? Do you think those people will take her seriously? They're just using her, Ron interrupted her. Her own family background is very ordinary. Her parents are both laid-off workers and her sister's mentally ill. She doesn't have any powerful relatives. Doesn't that explain why we shouldn't mess with her? Adeline said. She has no family background and she could climb to her current position at the age of not even 30. She must be really something. Adeline could understand this. She had worked so hard when she was young. She knew that it was difficult to succeed in this society. Don't be a coward. Ron looked at her with disdain. She doesn't like us. If Brexter married her, what would she do to us when we're old? She'll encourage him to stay away from us. Besides, if she really likes our son, she won't dare to do anything to us. Adeline was a little hesitant. The couple unknowingly walked to the gate of the neighborhood. Ron's eyes were sharp enough to see Tasha walking out of the supermarket. Tasha, what a coincidence! Why are you shopping here? Ron was overjoyed to see Tasha at this time. He greeted her and walked over. Uncle, Auntie. Tasha smiled when she saw the two of them. It's rare for the two of you to come out together. Auntie, is your stomach better now? Adeline felt warm to hear that. She didn't expect that she would still remember her illness after so many years. For sure, she would have a good impression of Tasha. Oh, it's an old issue. Can't be cured. I heard from a friend that there is a medicine that is good for stomach illnesses. Next time, I'll get her to bring you a box, Tasha said worriedly. Please try to see if it works. It's so sweet of you. You're too kind. Adeline sighed in her heart. Too bad that Kiera had a better plan. No problem at all. After all. Tasha smiled bitterly and didn't finish her sentence. Ron was extremely astute. He immediately lowered his voice and asked, Tasha, tell me the truth. Do you still have feelings towards Brexter? She smiled sadly. We had no choice when we split up back then. It was impossible for me to turn a blind eye on my father. Now I'm alone, but he has a girlfriend. It's all fate. Ron immediately perked up. It's Brexter's fault. If he had helped you back then, you wouldn't have had to break up with him at all. He's just too inflexible. You're a good girl. I've truly treated you as my daughter-in-law since a long time ago. I don't like Kiera at all. Don't worry. I will definitely help you. Tasha's face lit up, but she then quickly shook her head. I appreciate your good intentions, but I don't want to put Brexter in a difficult position. Now that I can see him occasionally and know that he's fine, I'm satisfied. You're the one who truly loves him. Ron couldn't help nodding. He was now certain that Tasha loved Brexter deeply. As long as he chased Kiera away, Tasha would have a chance. Men were nostalgic. He believed that Brexter wouldn't be completely heartless towards her. On Saturday, Delmont and his lawyer came to the law firm to meet Kiera and Ariana. Ariana had specially dressed herself up to discuss the divorce. For this meeting, she had dragged Kiera to get her hair done last night and bought a few expensive clothes. When Delmont saw her, he was stunned. Ever since she had given birth, Ariana had not dressed like this for a long time. Every time he came home, her hair was messy and her face was plain. Her clothes were either t-shirts or down jackets. To be honest, he regretted having an affair. While his thoughts were running wild, he did not pay much attention to what Kiera said when she came in. Lawyer Freddie, who had come in with him, reminded him and pulled him out of his thoughts.
Mr. Delmont, please take a look at this document.
Delmont picked it up in a daze and took a look. Then his whole body shivered. Kiera looked at him and smiled. The law is sometimes quite cruel. Even if a man cheats and makes a mistake, it won't affect the allocation of the assets. You have been secretly selling your properties all this while. You even bought a house for your mistress, using your business partner to help you with the ownership transfer. You thought that no one would find out as long as no bank transfer record was related to your personal accounts. But you have missed out on something. The one and only loophole, which was also the biggest loophole. Your business partner. Delmont was so angry that the veins on the back of his hand bulged, and his eyes widened in disbelief. He betrayed me? Betray? Ariana said sarcastically. You could even betray your wife and child, let alone a brother or a friend? Isn't that very normal? Delmont probably never thought of this, and his face turned slightly pale. He has been my friend for many years. We started a company together and we share the same fate. How did you get him to betray me? Kiera crossed her fingers and her tone was calm. In terms of human nature, who knows better than a lawyer? We've seen all kinds of disgusting and dirty things. In the face of profit, 9 out of 10 people will fall out with each other. We only met your friend and told him that as long as all the shares of the company were in Ariana's hands, she would sell them all to him at a discounted price. You guys started the company together back then, and the investment wasn't big, but after so many years, the value of the company has already increased a few times. But unfortunately, the dividends have always been split equally between the two of you. What if he could monopolize this company that is guaranteed to make a profit? He hesitated for a long time and gave me an answer. As expected of your most intimate partner. Now, even your bottom line has been dug out completely. Ariana looked at Delmont with a disgust that she had never felt before. You keep saying that the company could only get $70,000 to $80,000 a month. But in reality, you're already earning $400,000 to $500,000 a month? It's just that you've transferred all your assets, then used your parents to dispose of the property, and invested in several projects in your parents' name. Now that you're going to divorce, you say that your family only has $1 million in capital on account of our long-standing relationship as husband and wife. You're willing to give me $700,000 and the house belongs to me? You're asking me not to go overboard? It's really laughable. The information you submitted was not true at all. Not only that, you were afraid that we would apply for court investigation and even make false accounts in the company. To put it bluntly, your actions are considered fraud. Kiera shook her head and her tone was aggressive. In front of the law, you kept playing tricks. You clearly had a total of more than $10 million in assets, but you were only willing to give your wife $700,000? You are really generous. Do you think my friend is a beggar? Are you underestimating me or overestimating yourself too much? Delmont, when you two got married, I told you that my friend is not someone to be trifled with. Ariana had never felt so confident before. Her heart was filled with excitement. How disgusting! At this moment, Delmont did not care about his face anymore. He looked at Lawyer Freddie helplessly. Lawyer Freddie was silent.
Lawyer Kel, I think that since you're willing to meet with us in private, it can be seen that you're willing to coordinate. Can you guys talk about the distribution of property that you want? To be honest, even if you take these documents to court, the judge might not act as you wish. When I usually encounter such situations, it's usually the man who gives up his property on his own accord.
Kiera nodded. It's almost the end of the year. Everyone wants to have a comfortable new year. My client doesn't want to drag this out. It's very simple. We only want all the shares of the company, half of the cash, the house we're living in, and custody of the child. Delmont stood up anxiously. Dream on! Do you know how much my company shares are worth? Also, the child is mine. Ariana doesn't have a job at all. Kiera smiled. I forgot to add that you also have to give the child alimony every month. Delmont was so angry that his face turned red. I've already given all my shares to you. How can I give you so much every month? It's robbery. How about this? Don't take the shares. I'll give all the cash to you and the child to me. From now on, I'll give Ariana $10,000 every month. Ari, we still have a child. You don't have to benefit others just for a moment's pleasure. Ariana chuckled. I'm sorry. I just want to make you unhappy. Besides, your shares are the most valuable. I'm not that stupid. When the time comes, you'll be getting richer and richer by relying on this company. It's not impossible for you to receive millions in dividends every month, but you only give me $10,000 a month? Do you think I'm very stupid and naive? I'm just letting you know the consequences of betraying me. Kiera looked at her watch. I don't think you can make a decision at once. I'll give you another week to think about it. To be honest, I'm happy to go to court because your behavior in this marriage is extremely bad. The judge will surely side with us. Moreover, we're not going too far. You still have cash and property. You can totally make a comeback. After all, you're still young. After Delmont and Lawyer Freddie left, Ariana looked admiringly at Kiera, who was packing up the documents. Kiera, why aren't you a man? The way you negotiated just now was so manly. Kiera looked at her with disgust. No one would like a woman who was praised as a man, right? Please, as my friend, muster up some spirit. After all, you're a law student. After so many years of people hiding so many things from you, you still don't know anything? I don't want to despise your IQ, and I don't want to ridicule your ability to find private detectives. Ariana thought about how badly she had been deceived, and she couldn't help but clench her fist and let out a long sigh towards the sky. I don't care. You have to win back the shares for me. His partner is willing to spend $6 million to buy the shares in my hands. At that time, with the addition of the cash and the house, I'll be a millionaire. I really didn't expect that bastard Delmont to be so rich. Look at you. Kira shook her head and was too lazy to even talk about her. Naturally, I can't compare myself to a rich woman like you. Huh. Ariana put her hand on her shoulder. Shall I treat you to dinner tonight? Kira was about to answer when her cell phone rang. She had a headache when she saw the number. It's your father, Ariana said. Although he definitely has no good reason to look for you, he's already so old. Might be an urgent matter. Kira nodded. Although she didn't have much time to contact her parents, she still greeted her aunt. If her parents had any matters to attend to, she had to contact them immediately. After picking up the phone, Gordon's angry voice was heard. Kira, what's wrong with you? Last time I told you not to be with that Williams guy. He's not a good person, but you ignored our words. Your mother and I turned a blind eye to it, but now his parents have come to our house for some reason. They're furious. They say that you're pestering their son. They also say that you shouldn't be shameless. They say that our house is poorly decorated and doesn't deserve them. Do not even think about marrying their son. Your mother almost got into a fight with them. The more Kira listened, the more she furrowed her brows, followed by anger. Ron and his wife were trying to dick up her secrets behind her back, even finding out where her parents lived. It was fine if they didn't like her, but there was no need for them to harass her parents. Even though her parents didn't like her at first, they were her biological parents after all. Furthermore, her parents didn't go looking for trouble with Brexter after that. Gordon continued. Break up with him immediately. Do you really think that their son is that desirable? I haven't liked him for a long time. It's not that I want to criticize you, but can't you find a proper boyfriend? Did no one want you in your past life? I really didn't educate my daughter well. Your mother and I have lost all face. While Gordon was complaining, Jesha's voice was mixed in. If she dares to be with that man, I'll show her my death. I'd rather be dead than be humiliated by her in-laws. Kira was so infuriated by her parents. All right, I got it. Just don't open the door so casually in the future, she said, holding back her anger. His parents said that if you don't break up, they'll come back again. Oh, right. They also said that they're going to look for your sister. I'm telling you, your sister can't be provoked. If anything happens to her, your mother and I won't forgive you. Kira rubbed the space between her brows, a cold glint flashing in her eyes. She did not wait for Gordon to continue before hanging up the phone. Ariana was in awe. You two both have a pair of really weird parents. Who was more shameless, I wonder? Kira smiled bitterly. Wasn't that the case? Back then, she and Brexter had thought that their relationship with their parents was not good and that their parents would not interfere if they were looking for a partner. Who would have thought that? It's the same thing, Kira said as she gripped her phone tightly. But at least my parents didn't take the initiative to provoke Brexter's parents. Now they don't even spare a mental person. If that's the case, then don't blame me for being rude. Ariana frowned. She had known her for so many years. How could she not know that she was angry? Tell Brexter that this isn't a personal matter. I think if he's really a man, he should settle with his parents instead of letting you handle it all the time. Otherwise, why are you with him? Although they are his biological parents, now it's his parents who are looking for trouble. If he doesn't be more forceful, his parents will go on and on. And if you're really rude, he might not be happy either. Kira didn't say a word. She was indeed thinking about these things. The matters between a couple were simple, but it wasn't easy when it involved their parents. Ariana was a married woman, after all, so she knew some things better. All right. I won't be having dinner with you tonight. I need to go home and chat with Brexter. When it was time to get off work, Brexter called to talk about the parking lot. Kira, I have to go to work tomorrow. Let's eat outside tonight. Okay. Kiera packed her things and left. After getting into the car, Brexter took his phone and came over to ask for her opinion.
How about this French restaurant? It has quite a high rating.
Kiera listened to him as she looked at his tall nose bridge. After a while, she reached out to cover his phone. Brexter, your parents went to look for my parents and said a lot of nasty things. They even said that if I didn't break up with you, they would go to the mental hospital to look for my sister. What can a crazy person do? They're too aggressive. Brexter was stunned. Immediately after, his pair of deep eyes were so gloomy that ink could drip out. The atmosphere that was originally gentle and sweet suddenly froze in the car. Kiera continued, I don't wish for this to happen again. At the same time, I'm also very troubled and angry. I feel that they won't let this go. If you can't solve this once and for all, then I will take action.
I understand.
Brexter raised his head, his eyes cold as ice.
I will handle it.
He knew what his parents were like, but he had never expected them to be so shameless.
I thought if I ignored them and didn't see them, they would leave after a while. I didn't expect.
Brexter held her hand.
Kiera, I'm sorry for causing you so much pain. Don't get involved in this. If I can't even settle this, then I don't have the right to talk about marriage with you.
Kiera felt a little better. It wasn't scary for two people to encounter problems together. What was scary was that the other half was unwilling to solve the problem, especially involving their own parents. I'll wait for you. Kiera turned back and met Brexter's deep eyes without dodging. Brexter, you know, I don't have a lot of patience. To be honest, the issue with his parents still made Kiera feel uncomfortable. They kept coming over to provoke her, and it only got worse. The first time Ron came to find her, Brexter should have been more forceful. Of course, perhaps it was because he didn't know his parents well enough. Brexter leaned over and kissed her on the forehead.
Trust me.
He understood that too many things had happened between the two of them recently. First, it was Tasha. Then it was his parents who came out to cause trouble. The already unstable relationship was now even more turbulent. If he wasn't more ruthless, he might really lose her confidence. Kiera tossed this matter to Brexter and didn't bother about it anymore. Even though her parents would call about her every now and then, she only replied, Brexter is already looking for someone to settle it. Gordon was furious when he heard that.
Why do you believe him? They are a family. I think you must have been charmed. You are a lawyer, yet you aren't clear-headed at all. You should break up with him. Your mother and I will introduce you to a few more stable blind dates so that your aunt won't say that we are only concerned about your sister and not you at all.
Kiera pinched the space between her brows. It was a tiring New Year's Day, and listening to her parents' nagging made her lose her temper. She raised her voice and said, How can you be concerned about me? I've finally found a relationship after so many years, and all you do is encourage me to break up. It's not right for his parents to quarrel, but I've said that Brexter will take care of it. If he can't even solve such a small problem, I know in my heart that we will naturally break up.
Gordon mumbled, I just don't think his parents are cultured people. What kind of children can they bring up?
Kiera sneered. Dad, are you insulting the country's public security personnel? Gordon fell silent. Kiera couldn't help but say, When you're talking about other people's parents, please check yourself. To put it bluntly, how are you better than them? When I was dating Brexter, if you knew where Brexter's parents lived, you might have gone over to make a scene. Gordon stammered. All right then. Ask your conscience if you didn't go to the court to inquire about Brexter back then. Kiera questioned coldly. Because you knew it was a judicial department. You didn't dare to make a scene. The essential difference between the two of you and his parents is that they could still find out where my parents lived, but you couldn't find out at all." Gordon was at a loss for words. "I'm an adult now. I'll be with whoever I want to be with, and I'll marry whoever I want to marry." Kira took a deep breath and said resolutely, "Since you're so free, go spend more time with Ella. I'll make my own decisions. Don't you think I've embarrassed you? Don't worry. I won't go to your place in the future. As for this matter, if Brexter can't handle it, I'll settle it myself." After Kira finished her words, Gordon didn't dare to bother her for a few days. A few days later, the news broke that Matrix Automobile Company was suspected of selling second-hand cars as new cars. Kira had asked someone to find out that Ron's company was Matrix Automobile Company Limited. Now that something had happened and it was being reported by the news, it was definitely not that simple. That night, Kira went home, but Brexter was not back yet. There were no special rules about who would cook dinner. Whoever came back early would cook first. If Kira was too tired, she could wait for Brexter to come back and cook. However, she felt that Brexter had a hard time working, so she decided to cook dinner. Kira was more particular about nutrition and presentation when she cooked. When Brexter entered, he had happened to see her cooking a prawn mushroom soup. There was a layer of prawn oil on the surface of the pot, and the kitchen was filled with a fragrant smell. "Ugh, my wife's cooking is as good as it can be." Brexter hugged her waist from behind. "What kind of new dish is this? I've never seen it before." "I saw it online." Kira picked up a mushroom and fed it to him. "How's the taste?" "Delicious, fresh and sweet." Brexter was not stingy with his praise. Kira pried his hand away from her waist. "I'm going to pour the soup. It's not easy for me to make it like this." "I'll do it. Don't burn yourself." Brexter gently pulled her away and skillfully poured the soup into the big bowl. Kira looked at his silhouette quietly and suddenly asked, "Do you know about the incident at your father's company?" "I do." Brexter narrowed his eyes, his dark eyelashes clearly visible under the light. "With such a big incident, I believe they won't come looking for trouble with your parents again." Kira walked to the side and leaned against the kitchen counter, raising her eyebrows. "Did you do this?" Brexter glanced at her. "I didn't ask them to sell secondhand cars as new cars." "But it was exposed at this time, and it was a major affair. Everyone is paying attention to this matter," Kira said, her gaze fixed on Brexter. "Selling secondhand cars as new cars can reap a lot of benefits, so this is definitely not the first time," Brexter said as he looked at Kira. "Some people don't understand cars, so it's fine if they're just muddle-headed. There are also some people who don't want to cause trouble, so it's fine if they just endure it. There are also some leaks, but they're just small media outlets, so they're not very useful. However, it won't be so smooth every time. I just found someone to let a big media outlet leak this information, and the results are completely different." Kira's gaze was filled with a complicated worry. "But this is your family's company after all. If you manage it well in the future, you might even have the right to inherit it. Matrix is already on the decline. The company is hit by such a heavy hammer, he might be in danger." "Even if it wasn't exposed, a company that lies to its customers won't have a good ending." Brexter lowered his head and started washing the dishes. "So what if we invest in new funds? The nature of the company can't be changed. The company's sales won't be able to keep up. The salesmen and managers won't be able to split the money, so they will start to exploit loopholes to earn money. The company's boss will turn a blind eye when he sees that this method can earn money. Even if we invest new funds, the internal structure has already rotted. How can we improve? No one has ever thought of managing this company well." Kira was stunned. "I didn't expect you to know so much about the sales industry." "After all, my family is in the automobile business, so I have to pay more attention to it. Brexter smiled at her. When my uncle was in prison, I noticed Matrix's problem. They only cared about money. So it's time for the relevant departments to investigate. As for the power you said I would inherit in the future, I have never considered it. Someone like my father, he would never leave it to me. When he would want to give it to me, the company would already be a mess. I might even have to pay for it, so it's better to destroy it now. Kiera gave him a thumbs up with heartfelt admiration. She was impressed by his courage to personally destroy his own company's reputation. No matter what kind of company it was, she believed that 99% of men would not do such a thing. Judge Williams, don't regret it in the future. Kiera's expression was complicated. Brexter continued to stir-fry the vegetables, his brows unmoving. With this lousy company gone, he should give up and stop forcing me to be a trading item. Of course, Lawyer Kell, don't complain about my parents' poverty in the future. Of course not. I know you did all this for me. This time, it was Kiera's turn to hug him from behind. Her face was buried in him, absorbing the faint fragrance of the orchid grass laundry detergent on his body. Brexter took a deep breath and looked at the silhouette of the two of them on the glass door. His heart was filled with warmth and serenity. Kiera, no matter what happens to our parents in the future, don't leave me so easily, okay? Okay. In their current situation, Kiera suddenly understood their mutual understanding. Matrix's matter became bigger and bigger until the relevant departments started to investigate. Ron was initially thinking about how to get Kiera and Brexter to break up as soon as possible. But after the incident at the company, everything snowballed and all the negative things from the past were exposed. Every day, reporters and old clients would come over. Ron was extremely anxious every day, running around looking for connections, but to no avail. By the time he entered the court, it was already noon on the third day. Brexter had just finished his lunch and was about to return to his office for a break when Ron angrily kicked open the door and came in, directly making things difficult for him. Matrix's matter has something to do with you, right? I've asked around and it was you who informed those reporters. How could I have given birth to a beast like you, not even sparing my own company? Are you trying to force me to jump off a building? Brexter sat up on the sofa, his gaze as cold as ice. Since you know that I'm a beast, then why did you come looking for trouble with me in the first place? Haven't you thought about destroying my relationship with Kiera again and again? Even a rabbit would bite if it was anxious, let alone a cold-blooded beast like me. Ron was shocked by his dark pupils. His body couldn't help trembling. I'm your father, the biggest beneficiary of everything I've done for you. You're too ungrateful. Enough. Brexter's tone was filled with hatred. Do you know what I want? I want a family. I want to be with the person I love. I don't need to be rich and powerful. I don't need mountains of gold and silver. I just need 3 meals, a spacious and clean place to live in. Occasionally, I'll cook with the person I like and go out to see the mountains and streams. In the future, having a son and daughter would be enough. You don't know anything. You only want to deprive me of your own selfish desires. Since you're heartless, I won't stand still. Since you like the company so much and want to sacrifice me in order to expand the company, then I will destroy the company's reputation. You! I really shouldn't have given birth to you! Ron was so angry that he didn't know what to say. Just then, he saw the cup on the table, he grabbed it and threw it at Brexter. Brexter easily dodged it. Facing Ron's hatred, he gritted his teeth. The difference between Kiera and you guys is that she wasn't using me, but you guys were using me. When I fell from the building, it was Kiera who took care of me from morning till night. What did you do? The news was so big, not to mention not seeing it. You didn't even give me a call. Ron hoarsed in exasperation. Why didn't you fall to your death back then? Brexter laughed softly when he heard his father spew such vicious words. Why should I die? Firstly, I didn't do anything wrong. Secondly, I didn't let my parents down. I did everything on my own conscience. Is it my fault that the company has become like this today? It's due to your own greed. You sold secondhand cars as new cars. Don't say that you didn't know. You might as well blame the factory. Ron's face was red from the screaming, but he refused to admit it. It was those bastards down there. I can't possibly investigate every single car. If you didn't turn a blind eye, would others have done this? Brexter rebuked coldly. Do you know that sometimes tens of thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars are considered a life for some people? Others have worked hard for decades to buy a car, only to find out that it wasn't a new one. Have you ever thought about others? Oh, right. There are also maintenance pits everywhere. There are obviously some parts of the car that are fine, but in order to earn money, you lied to the customers and said that there was a problem. You didn't change the parts, but you lied and said that you changed them. How can a lousy company like yours sell well? You only know how to get others to invest, but you don't look at your own problems. Even if you sell me, the result will still be the same. Let me put it more bluntly. What you earn is unconscionable money. Ron's expression was terrifying. You have a conscience for treating your father like this? I have no conscience. Brexter stared at him. Enough is enough. Luckily, it's me this time. If you were to look for Kiera's parents again, the next time she takes action, your company's fate would be even worse. With the things that happened in the company, if she were to take over the case, she could sue you to the point where your reputation would be ruined and you would lose everything. The last ex-boyfriend who provoked her had a brutal fate. You can ask around. That case was actually very simple. It was basically Kiera who controlled the situation secretly. Ron was stunned by his words, a chill running down his spine. Brexter continued. In this situation, what good would it do if I broke up with Kiera? If we really broke up, there's really no need for her to show you any mercy, as long as you didn't do anything unconscionable. You think you're old and smart, but it's actually very laughable. Kiera has been dealing with people who were richer than you, had bigger investments than you, and have a higher status than you. She knows what you people are thinking better than anyone. Anyway, if you continue to cause trouble, I won't be responsible for the consequences. The more Brexter thought about the wrath of Kiera, the more uneasy Ron became. He was uncertain. Are you really not willing to help me? What can I help you with? Brexter's lips twitched. I can only advise you to sell the company as soon as possible and save some money for your retirement. If you still go to look for Kiera's parents, don't blame me if you run out of money. You can also witness how terrifying lawyers are. Ron was furious. Terrifying? Then why are you dating a woman from this profession? Brexter smiled. Because she said she would take care of me. Even my parents can't do it, but she can, so, of course, I have to cling to her. Shameless! Shameless! Ron was so angry that he didn't know what to say. After a scolding, he left in a huff. When he left, he bumped into Kiera at the door. He didn't know how long she had been listening to him. She leaned against the door sill and smiled. Just as Ron opened his mouth, she interrupted first. Mr. Williams, I'm younger and more capable than you. It can be said that I'm a stock with potential. If I were an investor, should I invest in you or me? Actually, at your age, many people have already retired and are living leisurely. Therefore, no matter from any angle, I have to make a good investment. Don't worry, I will definitely give more to your son than you did. Kira's eyes sparkled with calmness and shrewdness. Ron gritted his teeth and said unwillingly, "Didn't you hear what he said? He's willing to be with you purely because you're rich and you can raise him." Kira looked at him and shook her head. Her face filled with pity. It was unknown whether it was because of him or Brexter. "Your son is so handsome. I'm willing to raise him. What's wrong with that?" Brexter stepped forward and gently put his arm around her shoulder, his lips curving slightly. "Before we started dating, we were very frank. In this life, my happiness will depend on her." Ron looked at Brexter and then at Kiera. Suddenly he smiled. His smile was exceptionally pale. "All right. I understand." He slowly turned around, stepped back, and left. Brexter watched his back as he walked further and further down the corridor. He had a feeling that this time, Ron had given up completely. "I hope your parents won't cause any more trouble after this." Kiera leaned against the door. She was finally relieved, as though a huge weight had been lifted from her heart. I don't think they will. You've already analyzed the difference between you and him. He's a smart person." Brexter looked back at her with a smile. "Kiera, aren't you worried that I'm only with you because I want to ride on your achievements? Sometimes the relationship between people is quite complicated. There are even many feelings that are more concerned about benefits." Kiera raised her head to look at him, her gaze calm and confident. "Mr. Williams, you're a judge. I'm a lawyer. In court, you'll always be my boss. Don't talk about clinging for benefits. It's normal for a lawyer like me to cling to you. Besides, I know better than anyone that you're not the kind of person who cares about material things." "If that's the case, as Barrister Rochester's disciple, how could you be willing to change careers to become a judge?" Brexter patted the hair of the woman beside him. In this life, he had once hated fate for giving him such cold and heartless parents. But at this moment, he was very grateful that fate had allowed him to meet someone who understood him. Near the end of the year, Matrix Motor Company Limited was investigated by the relevant departments. As more and more problems were implicated, Ron had no choice but to shut down the company. After that, he spent a lot of money to settle the matter, and the company was no longer able to continue operating. Ron finally decided to sell it to another boss at a low price. His dream of becoming a rich and powerful family had completely come to an end. Soon after, Kiera and Brexter flew to Switzerland to celebrate the new year. On the first day of the new year, the two of them went skiing up the mountain. It was Brexter's first time skiing. Kiera taught him, but he had no choice but to complain about his lack of talent in skiing. She had taught him for a long time, but he still kept falling in the snow. Once, when he was sliding down the slope, he couldn't stop himself. He rolled down for more than a meter, and half of his leg was stuck in the snow. Kiera hurriedly rushed over to pull him out. "Are you all right? Did you hurt yourself anywhere?" "No." Brexter touched his pocket and said in annoyance, "Oh no, I might have dropped my wallet when I was rolling down." "Why did you bring your wallet with you? Didn't I tell you to put it in the cupboard?" Kiera said snappily. Brexter blinked, a look of grievance on his face. "I was afraid that you would want to buy food, but it won't happen again. Let's quickly look for it. It must have fallen here." Kiera squatted in the snow to look for it. The snow was too thick, so she had no choice but to dig through it piece by piece. After digging for a while, she did not see a wallet, but she did find something shiny. She picked it up and saw that it was a ring. Who dropped this ring? Before she could finish her sentence, a thought flashed through her mind. She looked up at the man beside her in shock. Brexter bent down to pick up the pink diamond in her hand and knelt on one knee, his gaze clear and deep. "Kiera, will you marry me? Even though people say that it's a disaster for lawyers and judges to be together, I don't think so. I think that we are at the beginning of our happiness. We have a common belief in the law, and we want to protect and uphold principles. We can understand each other. In terms of work, even though I am your chief judge, I hope that every day in my life, you can be my chief judge. Are you willing to judge me for the rest of my life?" Kiera's eyes widened in shock, her hands covering her shocked lips. She had not expected him to suddenly propose. Even though she had been through all sorts of ups and downs, her mind was still blank. Brexter looked at her stunned expression and was a little anxious. "Lawyer Kell, even if you had cursed me to be cuckolded in my marriage, caused a divorce with my wife, and stripped me of all my assets, I would still be fine with it. I don't mind. I just want to marry you. Is that all right?" The past was brought up again. Everything from the past was still vivid in her mind. Kiera couldn't help but snap back to her senses and giggle. "You still remember?" "Yes, judges have always had a good memory." Brexter smiled and said again, "Marry me. Perhaps I won't be able to give you the best in the world, but I can give you the best of me. Perhaps there will be a day when I won't be able to shield you from the storms because of my status, but I can accompany you in the rain. You will never be alone." Kiera's eyes turned slightly red. She bent down. "I will." "Thank you, Chief Judge Kell." Brexter put on the ring for her, stood up, and kissed her lips. From now on, he was willing to be the only person in her court. After the marriage was confirmed and the new year was over, Brexter started to renovate the house. He had also completely moved to Kiera's place from his previous house. Although it was far from where he worked, he was more willing to travel like this. Since the two of them had decided to get married, they should live together. During the last moving trip, Brexter drove and saw Tasha at the entrance buying fruits from a nearby store. He thought for a moment, then parked his car and walked in. Tasha was pleasantly surprised when she saw him. "Brexter, how was the new year?" Brexter looked at her calmly for a while and said, "It's going very well. I went to Switzerland with my girlfriend for the new year and proposed to her there. She has already agreed. I've decided to rent the house here, and the new house is under renovation. I'm moving to Kiera's place and we'll get married this summer." In that short moment, he had said a lot of things and revealed a lot of information. No matter how good Tasha was, the smile on her face froze and she didn't regain her senses for a long time. Brexter stared at her and frowned. "Tasha, I don't think you need to rent a house and bump into me here in the future because I won't be coming here anymore. Actually, I've seen you at the entrance of my neighborhood many times when I drive past. Even though you live very close, there are shops at the entrance of your neighborhood. But you always come here. There are some things that I think I understand." Tasha bit her lip. Just as she was about to speak, Brexter interrupted her. "Don't try to start with my parents either. Now that my father's company is closed, he knows that I can't break up with Kiera. I didn't get out of the car today to buy anything. I just wanted to remind you to put some thoughts away. I don't have any feelings for you anymore. In the past, I thought that we were compatible, but after meeting Kiera, I realized that we were only compatible because we never understood each other. I don't want to say goodbye to you because I really hope that we don't meet again." After he finished speaking, he got into the car and left without looking back. Tasha watched as his car gradually disappeared into the distance, tears streaming down her face. She knew that this person had really left her world from then on. A breeze seemed to be carrying their joy to a distant location as it blew. Brexter and Kiera are now happily married after going through a lot of ups and downs. Dear listeners, this is the end of Season 1 of Us Before Me. Stay tuned for the next season.